Welcome to the one and only Tszyu.
G'day guys, how we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. I was about to say walking boxing. I do it every single day, so it's almost just something that just pops in my head these days. But welcome to the show. Wow. Have we got some things to talk about tonight or in this episode? Welcome to everyone watching, of course, on YouTube and listening after the fact on Spotify. The big fight, will we call it, on the weekend. Look, a really good weekend of boxing if you think about it, as far as just being a boxing weekend. We had the event on Netflix on Saturday. We had the Latino card yesterday. We had Floyd Masson over, was it Poland or whatever he was, fighting Masternak. And we've got a big fight to look forward to this weekend. On Wednesday, the Paulo Acuso, Clay Waterman event. So look, no doubt there's a lot of you in the chat who are either happy with what happened, unhappy with what happened. It's good for boxing, it's bad for boxing. What is it? I want to know. And as I said, I know we've got plenty to discuss. Let's go to some comments now. I see in the chat we've got, who we got there? We'll go through some names there. We've got old mate Big J. We've got Robert Tyler. We've got, what's that? Hang on, Robert. What's that there? You received my camo boxing deep dive shirt the other day, and she's a ripper. Good stuff, Robert. I did see that someone had bought a camouflage one. We've been selling a little bit of merch, which is good, but that did get my attention that someone bought the camo one, because that was a bit of a late edition, that one. So if you haven't seen it, just check out the YouTube page. They're all on there. The quality's not too bad from what I hear. I've got my little bear here. There we go. I think I showed him last week. Got him there. And I think I got a bucket hat and a few T-shirts and that sort of stuff. But the quality looks okay. So jump on and grab some of that. So I'm glad you liked it, Robert, and thanks for tuning in, mate. Who else we got there? Eminem. We've got, is that it, I think? Is it Jesus or Jesus? I'm going to call you Jesus there, mate, I think. Excuse me. All right, let's get into some comments, where I will start with Big J. I've just got to, again, as usual, go through these comments. First one off the rank, Big J. What do you got? Did you see that CP Freshmart got KO'd on the weekend on the Ramirez CBS undercard? Makes the Winwood loss even worse now. Alex needs at least 10 fights before world fight. Yeah, look, I did see that, Big J, and I think I might have forgotten to actually mention that in walking boxing. There's just so much going on at the moment, so many cards and fights, and I think I did forget about that one. But look, he was beaten by Oscar Collazo. Really, really good little fighter. I wouldn't go so far as to say it makes his loss even worse. I mean, up until now, I think he undefeated? I think he was. Let me just have a look at his records. I don't think it's a bad loss. I don't want to sort of kick Alex Winwood when he's down. I mean, it was a pretty good effort by Alex. Where are we? So, yeah, I mean, it was his first loss. So certainly no disgrace losing to, well, his real name's Thamanoon Neomtrong, but he goes by a lot like they do in Thailand a lot, as you probably know, is they go by the gym name, I think it is. So his name's CP Freshmart KO or something it is. It's something weird anyway, but his real name's Thamanoon Neomtrong. And, he was stopped in 7 rounds by Oscar Collazo on the weekend. But certainly no disgrace for Alex Winwood, because before that, what had he had? You'd think he'd held the title for a long time. Actually, how long had it been? Where was it? It'd been a while, I think. Anyway, been a champ a long time. So, yeah, I did see that, but I don't probably subscribe to that, Big J, that it was it makes his loss even worse. I mean, he's been a champion for a long time, and Alex just only had, 4 fights? Now he's had 5. I do agree, though, he does need a few more fights under his belt. I would say another 5, 6 fights before I'd even look to go back, and especially against someone, if it is someone like Collazo, I think they'll go back to the drawing board. But, I mean, having said that, I mean, you've got to take these opportunities when they come up. Yeah, it probably worked out. He was a little bit early for Alex, but look, he might have never got offered a world title shot again. So I'm certainly not going to have a go at him for taking it, or his team for taking it too early. They wanted to have an Australian challenge for the title, and they got it in Alex Winwood. And I thought Alex put up a great fight. Yeah, a little bit out of his depth at this stage, but certainly not the end for Alex. I think he'll definitely challenge for a world title down the track. Coolwell put in a decent effort, but was always going to be outclassed. The Paul versus Tyson, complete BS and absolutely brilliant undercard. Taylor, Amanda Serrano, another instant classic, decent 147 fight. The whole card I thought was okay, apart from obviously the main event. Yeah, look, I thought Dana fought really, really well. Look, yes, okay, he was outclassed, probably a little bit out of his depth at this stage. But look, again, you got to take these opportunities when they arise. I mean, you're on the biggest card of the year now. We probably don't like to say that out loud, us hardcore boxing fans, but it's fact. Was it 60 million households watched the Netflix fight? So 2, 3, 4 people a house, I don't know, but 60 million households watched the fight. 70,000 in attendance, biggest gate ever at that arena. Just a massive success. Apart from the streaming, I wasn't too bad on here. If you did watch the watch along, we had a little bit of a glitch, and I must admit I had a bit of a gulp when I seen it go down. Just as I think it was Mike Tyson coming into the ring, it froze. And I did comment on about it, and I thought, oh, geez, this is the most important part, is they're going to cut out. But then, of course, the chat kept going, and everyone's saying they were experiencing the same thing. So, but yeah, apart from that, look, I think Dana, look, he fought the best he was able to with the occasion. Bruce Carrington's a very, very good fighter, and probably no doubt will probably fight for a world title at some stage, and maybe even win a title. Who knows? But yeah, certainly no disgrace for Dana. I thought he fought really, really well. And I think I said in one of the episodes the other day, Walking Box, and I thought that the knockdown, the first one might have been a little bit off. It almost looked like he was pushed down or lost his balance. It was not really a bang on the chin and down he went. It was a little bit of a few different things mixed in. But look, I think he conducted himself really well. But all the counts, he was received well over there, and will probably no doubt get a few more big fights. But the Taylor Serrano fight, wow, I didn't agree with the decision, but look, it was probably close enough not to argue. I think I had it. Look, it's funny because I had it in my heart. I just think Amanda Serrano won, but really I had it 5-5, even though I was probably a little bit sort of kind to, I thought, Taylor in a couple of the rounds just to maybe even it up a little bit. I had it 5-5, but I thought the point deduction might have swung at Serrano's way. And look, if I'm being honest, I think she could have even lost another point for the headbutts. I know they probably weren't deliberate, but they were there. I know the clash of styles and all that sort of stuff was happening, but it was, look at the replays, it was just coming in with a head. Serrano really wasn't doing anything wrong. I know there's been a few people say, well, they both contributed to it. From what I saw, not really. Looking at it in slow motion, Serrano's moving the way either orthodox or southpaw a fighter would move when they're looking for punches. It was Taylor coming forward and got her. So it was her fault. And I think could have even been another point for excessive holding because it was just the 1-2 hold all the time. So, but either way, look, I love Katie Taylor. I think she's been great for the sport. So I'm certainly not going to rain on her parade. But I did think Amanda Serrano won the fight. And as I said, Taylor lucky not to get more points deducted. The welterweights was a really good fight. Was it Ramos and Barrios? Really good fight. I thought Barrios did enough to win. It was a draw, of course. So I'm probably not going to argue. Ramos definitely had his moments, but for me, I think that Barrios did enough, especially being the champion. I thought he did enough. But anyway, I'm sure we'll get a rematch. Another one from you, Big J, before we move on to someone else. If I can get to your comments there. All right, here we go. No Limit has signed Olympian Callum Peters, but not Charlie Sr. or Caitlin Parker. Very interesting. If you had the opportunity today, would you turn pro in today's climate of boxing? Good question, Big J. I think I didn't know about the Callum Peters thing, but I had heard that they weren't going to sign Charlie or Caitlin Parker. Now, I'm really surprised, especially out of all of them, surprisingly, with Caitlin Parker. I think they need some female content. Because in this day and age, especially, I'm sure Foxtel and Main Event are saying they want more female content. Remember, we are very agenda-driven here in Australia, and I'm not saying that to be unkind to the women, but I know firsthand being a promoter and talking to governments, the event governments, local council governments with the events and all that sort of stuff, they always say there is more money to be had if you if you look after the females and have some female involvement. So, which I think it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But I'm surprised that maybe, as I said, there's not maybe a little bit more pressure from Main Event and Foxtel to have more female content, which again is not a bad thing. Just look at the Taylor and Serrano fight on the weekend. I think Caitlin Parker is very marketable. I would have thought though they would have snapped her up. I really did. She's a great young fighter, and well, not so young anymore. She's late 20s, whatever it is. But I think she'll go really well. And yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me. But I suppose we can still stay tuned for that one. But yeah, for Callum Peters and Charlie Senior, I'm not quite sure what's happened there, Big J. But again, if they were smart, no limit, they'd be signing up all these Olympic fighters to contracts, because that's going to be the content going forward. We'll keep moving on there. So we've got Eminem in the chat. Still with Big J. Geez, you got in early tonight, mate. Does anyone have any information regarding the K. Scott Desley Robinson fight? Okay. The Chump, which is Jay McAllister, told me it was for the IBF middleweight title and was supposed to be around now. Very good question, Big J. Now, I'm with you. I knew it was supposed to happen around now, and I must admit, with everything else going on in the world with boxing at the moment, I didn't really give it a lot of thought, but it is not on BoxRec. Now, if anyone needs, or if any two fighters need to have a rematch, it is K. Scott and Desley Robinson. I thought Desley Robinson won the first fight, and not even close if you ask me. I thought she won 6, if not 7 of the rounds. Was it 8? Whatever it was. I only gave K. Scott on the night 2, maybe 3 rounds anyway. I just remember that, whatever it was. I thought she was very fortunate to get the win, K. Scott. So I think, I was really happy when this was put together as a world title fight. I thought, well, not only does Desley Robinson get her rematch, she also gets a crack at a world title. There were whispers, though, Big J, that K. Scott was just putting it out there that maybe she might have been fighting someone else for the IBF belt. I'm not sure. It's only just rumours and innuendo. There's nothing on BoxRec at the moment. This is the thing too, though, I will say, like, since that fight with Desley, she's had 2 fights, K. Scott. One was against Maka Jean, who was 1-1, and then another one in Thailand, who was making her debut, and couldn't get any or either of those girls out of there. So I do wonder about her going forward at that weight. What is it, 154, is it? What was it? 154. Yeah, he's got some big bangers in that division, even in the girls. So she needs to probably sit down a bit more on her punches, I think. And that's what I like about Desley Robinson. She has a crack. She can punch. What's her record? So she's 8-3 now, but she's had 3 stoppages. And I really like the way she goes about it. What's her name in there? Lady D. I like it. So, yeah, no, I'm a fan of Desley. And what has she had since then? I mean, you go by her record since then. Okay, she had a pretty soft one against Trish Vaca after that, but then she beat Sachuda Panic, who was 3-1, and then had a good decision over Mapu Ngubwami, is it? For the IBF Intercontinental Middleweight title. So she was 158 in that fight. So, yeah, I don't know, mate, but let's hope they get it on soon anyway. All right, I'll keep moving down. So what's that, Eminem? So you... Charlie Senior, okay, signed with STN Sports. Who is STN Sports? I don't know that one. Still with Big J. All right, we're almost at the end of these comments. All right, would you believe that K. Scott is the #1 middleweight on BoxRec? Oh, look, Big J, you know I don't hold the BoxRec rankings in any sort of regard. Look, when you've got, actually, I'm going to go back. Let's just have a quick look at the Australian pound for pound. That'll probably tell you all you need to know. And I won't spend too much time on it because we've all seen this, I think. Let's have a quick look. It might have been updated in the meantime, but it was a bit of a laugh anyway. Let's go. All right, male, pound for pound. Quick look at the pound for pound. So you got Liam Parra at #1. Sorry, Liam. Great fighter. Love you. But Jai Pataya is #1. Sam Goodman at #3. Okay, well, maybe with what's happened lately, maybe that could be the case. But they've got George Kambosos at #9. below Michael Zarafa, below, I was going to say Justice Honey. Justice is pretty unproven at the moment. But they've got fighters like Andrew Maloney at 12, Matteo Tapia at 14, if you can believe that. And I'm just looking at a couple others there. Yeah, the rest of it's not too bad, maybe. Paul Awakuso at 34. Wow. Where's Alex Winwood on there? Is he even on the list? Surely. Got Floyd Masson at 38. Sorry, guys, I won't spend too much time on this. Alex Winwood, number 43 in Australia, pound for pound. So, Alex, shame on you. Just fought for a world title, and you're behind. I'm just trying to pick some names. Jake Wiley, okay, good little fighter, I suppose. Joel Taylor, I would still think that Alex Winwood would be above these guys. Anyway, who's Jai Lane Taylor? I don't know. A super featherweight from Sydney. Well, Alex Winwood is behind him. Anyway, let's move on. But no, I didn't know that, Big J. No. All right, let's go. Enough of this rooting around by me. Yes, Jesus. Excellent performance by Zerdo was. I don't think it's good enough for me to have much faith that he's going to beat Jai Pattaya, though, Jesus. I think that from what I saw, look, really good effort. I'm a fan of Ramirez. And look, he does fight like the typical Mexican fighter, which is a really, really good thing. The problem is that I think Jai Pattaya might be a little bit too slick. See, Zerdo, he's good. He punches hard. He's always there. Like most Mexican fighters, goes through the gears and just grinds you down. And that's the type of fighter that he is. And I'm a big fan of not just Zerdo, but all Mexican fighters. But I just think Jai Pattaya at that weight, I think he'll just be too slick. Footwork too good. Hands too fast. Combination punching's too much for Zerdo. I just think, I did say again in my video this morning, I think that Jai wins the fight comfortably, but it would be a tough fight, a la the Breeders' fight. So, great performance by Zerdo on the weekend. I just don't think he has enough to beat Jai Pattaya, who's not going to come at him in a straight line like Billum Smith did, not moving his head, telegraphing his punches. Jai Pattaya gives you 3, 4, 5 punches from multiple angles. He's out and he's coming back at you for that second and then third attack. So that's why I just don't think Zerdo, or I don't think Jai is a good fit for Zerdo, even though I applaud him for saying that he wants to fight Jai Pattaya in a unification. So I think we can look forward to that fight next year. I think it'll be on a Riyadh card. Both guys obviously fight on the Riyadh card. So that's something to look forward to, because I've got a feeling if Billum Smith had won, not quite sure we would have got the unification. So let's hope we get it next year. And that's another thing we admire about the Mexican fighters, Jesus. They never duck anyone. It's the bring it on mentality. Best boxer from Mexico. I've got to disagree with you there, Jesus. I still think our man Canelo is number one, and there's probably a few other Mexicans in there as well. There's some, well, probably not actual Mexicans, Mexican heritage. Bam Rodriguez is probably the most, the obvious example of that. But, yeah, some great fighters from Mexico, Jesus, for sure. Colasso, number 10 pound for pound. Nah, not yet, Jesus. Plenty of other fighters in front of him at the moment. Ryan says, Dana just lacked the power. He boxed well enough. He did. Look, he did box really well. I thought I liked his game plan. He didn't go into his shell. He didn't allow himself to be dictated to. Maybe a couple of times he probably backed up when he didn't really need to. But I thought he gave Bruce Carrington all he could handle. It's just the problem is that it's a long journey over 8 3-minute rounds. I just think that the class of Carrington came to the surface. And but look, Dana, as the Aussies always do, covered himself in glory, and he'll get some more opportunities. And I think he did the best that you could probably expect. I think in the end, there's a few of us that were more hoping rather than expecting that he would beat Carrington. But yeah, I think he'll have some big fights ahead. Bruce Carrington has much improvement to get better. Yeah, he'll get better. Jesus, what's his record at the moment? I think he's had, 14 fights now from memory? 14 or 15 fights. I'll just type his record in there. All right, so it's Tszyu, 14-0. Okay, so he's 14-0 and 8 knockouts. 27 years of age, so he's probably going to have to get moving in the next sort of 12 to 18 months, I would think. The the fighters on his records, on his resume, the records are okay, but none of them are real recognisable guys. He's won a few regional belts, but nothing yet. But I'm not quite sure. Actually, where is he ranked at the moment? We'll have a quick look and see. What was it, featherweight or super feather? I think it was featherweight, wasn't it? Have a quick look and see if he's ranked. All right, so not ranked. Hang on. Well, there you go. Sorry, he's ranked number 2 by the WBA, number 1 by the WBC. Geez, Lynden, get with the times. 5 with the IBF and 2 with the WBO. So when you look at that, that was a big ask of Dana Coolwell. So you would think that Bruce Carrington, does he become an opponent for someone like a Nick Ball? I think that would be a really good fight. Ray Vargas is there as well, although he's a champion in recess at the moment. Angelo Leo, haven't seen much of him. He's the IBF champion. And Rafael Espinoza. I think Bruce Carrington probably would be a good chance against him. So, yeah, I think maybe down the track, Carrington and Ball is the fight for me. And then maybe even away goes up. So there's a good fights out there for him. But, yeah, I think he's still 2 or 3 fights away, I think, from challenging for a world title. All right, Shadow Boxer. At least we didn't pay for the card, and we got another classic from the ladies, yeah. And I think that's the thing we're all sort of forgetting. Okay, the production, I thought the production itself was really good. It reminded me a lot like was it WWE WrestleMania type of thing with the walk and all that sort of stuff. I thought it was really good. Okay, it did crash, but let's give Netflix a little bit of an out here. I think a lot of people saying, or what I've seen, especially, who was it? Paulie Malignaggi was very critical, saying never step foot back into boxing again. I'm not going to go that far. I thought up until the site crashed, which is probably all that matters, isn't it? I thought the production itself was great. They need better commentators, though. Rosie Perez, no. Look, I understand she's a boxing fan, and maybe it's a lady, getting a lady involved. I get that. Roy Jones Jr. was an okay addition as a special comments and expert analysis, but I can't remember who the main commentator was. Just a so-so performance. I have seen him a little bit in the past on some other shows, but Rosie Perez, no. I think the way we do things in Australia is a good model. You have the ladies as the host, and I think they do it really well on the main event pay-per-views here. So I have the female host, and then you have the expert commentator or male commentator, host, whatever it might be, and then you have the expert in there as well. So, yeah, I think it wasn't too bad except for the Rosie Perez thing. And some of the comments she was coming out with, what did she say, that Mike Tyson should be dead now or something, or surprised he's not dead or something like that? Well, even if you think that, probably not the right thing to say on TV. But, yeah, the rest of the card was great. I think if you break it down, Shadowbox, I think all in all, it was a really good first up performance by Netflix. And they mightn't have banked on so many people watching. When they did the sums, I've just got a feeling they didn't, or maybe they did, I don't know. But I've just got a feeling that maybe when they put this card together, it was like, well, they wouldn't have known much about boxing, and it would have been, okay, well, we'll put this together, and we might do X amount of numbers, and it'd be a good little dip the toe in the water. I think they would have been staggered by how big this event was, and I think we'll give them an opportunity. If this happens again, I doubt we're going to have 60,000 views no matter what fight they put on in the future, but it just might give them a reason to really look at making sure the product and the stream quality, whatever it might be, holds up. So if they get it right, Netflix could be the biggest player in the sport. They really could. Eminem. How does an Opetaya versus Zerto unification play out? Yep, I just said that. I think, I think Opetaya wins either comfortably on points, in a tough fight, but comfortably on points, or I think he's got the ability to get Zerto out of there late. I don't think he will knock Zerto out. I think it would be an instance of the referee jumping in to save Zerto, because he doesn't move his head a lot. He's very hittable. He is slick. He's got a really good kit of punches, a really good work rate, just great boxing IQ, everything that he's got. I just think Jai Opetaya is that level above him, and I think he can stop him. But as I said, I think it would be more by a referee the referee stepping in rather than him actually putting him on the mat. Do you know any more about Opetaya's IBF mandatory fight? No, Eminem. There's been lots of rumours about that. Probably like you, I've heard them all. Gold Coast was probably the latest one, but No, I haven't heard anything, mate. I couldn't tell you. But it will be. What was his name again? Let's have a quick look. It's one of those names that's very easy to forget. Hussein Sinkara is his name. I hope I pronounced that right. So Hussein Sinkara, who I've actually seen a bit of on YouTube. Look, he's a big guy. He's strong, but he's also, 39 years of age, I think he is. A little bit limited. He'll give Jai a good fight as well, but I just think I can just see that Jai just pinpointing him, maybe getting through the first couple of rounds, which might be a little bit touch and go. You might see Jai being pretty cautious and Shinkara maybe pushing the action a little bit, maybe even winning one or two of those early rounds. But I just think you would see then Jai put the foot down, and I got no doubt that when he finds his rhythm and range and timing, all that sort of stuff, I think he'll get Shinkara out of there. All right, Tony, would it be fair to say Katie Taylor is the GOAT of female boxing, as in she headbutts her opponents like a goat, most especially when she's losing? She does have that habit, Tony. Now, yeah, well, I'm a fan of what she's achieved in the sport, Tony, and she's been great for Irish boxing, women's boxing, and boxing in general. You can't get past the fact that she is a chronic headbutter, and all her opponents end up walking out of the ring busted up, and most of the time by her head, colliding heads or whatever it might be. Katie sometimes gets marked up or cut a little bit herself, but it's most of the time it's her opponent getting marked up. And look, I'll be honest, I don't think it's deliberate. I just think it's a flaw in her style. It's something that hasn't been picked up along the way by her coaches, because you just see it's 1-2 and she just leads with her head. She falls onto her opponent. So I don't think she's like 1-2, right, and I'm going to headbutt you. So I'm not going to call her the GOAT there, Tony, but I just think it's an instance of her just being careless and not being taught properly from a young age of how to punch and remain in the pocket or in the zone, whatever you might want to call it. It's just a 1-2 and sort of fall on her opponent. And she does have the habit as well of punching and then looking to clinch. So it's either a headbutt or clinching, and as I said, I just think it's a flaw, not anything deliberate. But as far as maybe being properly the GOAT of female boxing, well, based on her achievements, Tony, you would probably have to say she is. I think Clarissa Shields would have a lot to say about that. Who's the young, is it Shanisa Estrada? Is that her name? The young girl that's just retired. I would put her up there as well. Didn't really have a lot of the opponents, though, I suppose, but I think it would probably be out of Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields. And if I had to pick one, I would probably put my money on Katie Taylor. But I think Amanda Serrano's been great. So unlucky to at least not get one of these wins. So it's a bit of a shame that Amanda Serrano, who should be along Katie Taylor, is going to have those two losses against her name. So Katie Taylor's always going to be elevated above her. But, yeah, there is talk, by the way, there could be a third fight. We'll see. If I was Katie Taylor, I would not want a bar of Amanda Serrano again. And likewise, if I was Amanda Serrano, I'd probably be saying, do I really need to have my face busted up like it has been in the past? And don't forget, she went up 3 divisions. So do we take that into consideration when we're talking about the GOAT? Not the headbutting kind, but the GOAT, the greatest of all time in the females. I think Serrano's got to be in the conversation. But again, the fact that she has had those 2 losses to Katie Taylor is probably going to go against her. There's Pound for Pound King. How you going there, mate? Welcome to the show. Oh, okay. Fake Nello is disqualified from Mexico's rankings and pound for pound for avoiding David Benavides. Jesus, I think you're being a little bit harsh on your man Canelo there. I understand there's a lot of people that are hurt, and you're obviously one of them. They're a little bit hurt by Canelo not fighting David Benavides. But what you got to also look at, Jesus, is that Canelo is probably more of a middleweight rather than a super middleweight. And he's continued to go up in weight. He's cleaned out everyone. I don't know why. I've just managed to open Siri on my computer there, and it's dictating everything I've said. And I don't know who it's going to send it to, but someone's about to get a transcript of what I've been saying sent to them via text. But anyway, yeah, I think you've been a little bit unfair there, Jesus. I think apart from Benavides, he's fought and beaten everybody, apart, of course, from Bivol and Mayweather way back. But you've got to look at it from the Canelo point of view. David Benavides is a a very, very dangerous guy. He's a natural light heavyweight, or even a cruiserweight that balls himself down to super middle. And I think if you're at Canelo's stage of his career, you really need the aggravation of fighting someone like David Benavidez. And I've just got the feeling as well with Canelo, the fact that so many people are banging the fist on the table about him fighting David Benavidez has almost dug his heels in a little bit and said, well, I'm Canelo Alvarez and I'll do what I want, and almost hasn't fought him out of spite. But look, for what it's worth, Jesus, I still think if they did fight, what do you call him there, fake Nello, I still think he gets the win over David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez has been built up to be just maybe something that he's not. He's been made to look pretty good against some pretty substandard competition and hasn't looked overly great against the really good fighters he's fought. Yes, he's beaten them, but I just think his style, as big as he is, and just imagine what he'd be coming down to if he fought Canelo. Canelo probably walks around at probably 175, maybe 178, something like that. David Benavidez would walk around at over 200. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, mate, but I'm giving Canelo a little bit of an out there. You don't agree, though? Not acceptable. Fake Nello avoiding the next best opponent. Is he the next best, though, Jesus? I suppose he is, but he's also now... One thing I will say, though, Jesus... Okay, I don't want to get into an argument. He's obviously one of your countrymen there, I think. Let me know. Now, David Benavidez was ranked number one, or the interim champion or whatever it was, at 168 and 175. Now, he was given the option of staying at 168 as the number one challenger or interim champion, or go to 175, and he chose to go to 175 rather than staying at 168. Now, you might make the argument that, well, Canelo's obviously not going to fight him, so he's just decided to move up, and I get that, and it's made life a bit easier for Canelo. But, yeah, is he the next best opponent? He's a light heavyweight, Jesus. Why are we talking about him as a Canelo opponent if he's a light heavyweight? I don't know. Lots of arguments either way. All right, Shadowboxer, my stream didn't crash at all, luckily in Melbourne. Yeah, as I said before, mate, mine crashed for about 10 seconds, so it wasn't as bad as some of the others. Evening to you, Jules. Thoughts on Austin Akuso moving to light heavy? Yeah, well, hang on, where is he? I'll bring him up there. Look, I think he was, or the proof will be in the pudding anyway, won't it? As far as how he goes at light heavyweight. I'll just bring him up there, see his record, because I always take more notice of his brother. So he's 7-0 now. Looks the goods. I don't think he's anything like his brother, but he's 7-0. So he's fighting Lucas Miller on the 11th of December on the Fortitude Valley card. Okay, I didn't know that one. No, is that the... sorry, that's the Conor Wallace and Justice Huni card. Of course it is. So before that, what was he? Is that right? No, that can't be right, is it? Moving to light heavyweight, because he's fought at heavyweight. I always thought he was a super middleweight for some reason. There you go. His last fight was at 193 and a quarter against Titi Motusaga, whom he won a 6-round decision over. So he's dropping 18 pounds. Yes, I wasn't aware of that, Jules. Thanks for pointing that out. I always thought he was either at light heavyweight or a super middleweight. There you go. So he's actually been fighting at heavyweight and cruiserweight. Sorry, more so cruiser. There you go. Well, we'll see. Jules, they don't come much tougher than Lucas Miller. He'll give him a good run, that's for sure. Lucas is a bit of a journeyman, 12-7-2, but has won Australian titles and got some good wins under his belt as well. So it'll be a test. I still think Austin Akuso will win that one, Jules. But yeah, interesting to see how he goes. Will Harry Garside come back to professional boxing? I think he will, Eminem, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. I think my gut feeling says, yeah, he'll come back at some stage, but I'm just not sure whether the professional scene is Harry's scene, if that makes sense. I think he's obviously tried it. He was always going to go back to the amateurs because I think he still fancies himself or sees himself as an amateur boxer or Olympic-style boxer, whatever they call it. But I've just got a feeling when he went to the scene, I don't think he liked the business side of it. I mean, I think he seems to me the type of guy that really likes the sporting side of it, where he gets to travel the world, and it is still a sport. The professionals, it's an ugly game. It's a very like dark business type of bit of setup. A lot of people just looking to exploit you and make money off you. I don't like the way he treated Johnny Lewis, if I'm being honest as well. And I think he upset a few people with a little bit of a slight at Johnny. But I think he might come back, Harry. Harry might come back, Eminem, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. But if I was leaning one way or another, I think he does. But if he does, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 2 or 3 fights and says, yeah, no, I think I'll go to do something else. Because he's still a bit of a name, even though he got eliminated in the first fight. He was the guy they interviewed at the airport. He's the one that's doing some marketing. I think it was in the supermarket the other day, and there was something he was pushing. There was a poster or something of him there that my wife saw. So he's got some options outside of boxing. So, and who knows, he could end up being a full-time commentator on Foxtel or Main Event, whatever it might be. So he's got some different options out there, and he does speak pretty well behind the microphone. So maybe he just might say, look, this professional game's not for me. I'm not going to make it in the amateurs. I think he's probably a bit old now to have another crack at the next Olympics. So it's professionals or nothing. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I've just got the feeling, Eminem, that his heart's just never been in the pros. And that's probably what led to the separation from Johnny Lewis, who's one of those old-fashioned trainers where you are all in or you're all out. All right, Ryan, what do we got there, mate? Good learning curve for Netflix. The coverage did crash here and there, but overall I wasn't disappointed. Better than PBC, yeah. Better than PBC and better than DAZN, I reckon, Ryan. Apart from a little bit of the crash there, I thought the production was a lot better. Apart from, they've got to get the commentary right, and I'm sure they will. They tried, I mean, Roy Jones was a good addition, as I said, obviously with the HBO background. They just need to get the main commentators' sort of role sorted out, and then the offsider, whether it be, if it is a female, there's some really good female journalists or boxing journalists out there that speak really well on camera. That's what they need to get right. And I think overall it's good. I didn't mind the ring announcer. I hadn't seen him before. What was his name? Big Mo, whatever his name was. He reminded me a lot of the guy, was it David Diamante, whatever his name is, with the long dreadlocks that's on Eddie Hearn shows. He reminded me a lot of him. I didn't mind him. I thought he was okay. But they've just got to tweak a few things. Maybe what they need is to poach someone from maybe someone that worked in the day when HBO or Showtime was at their peak. Maybe get someone from one of those organisations to join the fold and put a bit of a HBO or Showtime spin on the production, and I think it will be A1. As I said before, I really think everything about it was great. I liked the camera angles and the walkout stage and just everything about it I was really impressed with. But they just need to get the team right behind the microphone, because if they don't, then it's not going to be received pretty well. I'd like to see, I think the PBC guys are really good. Not PBC, the Pro Box guys. It'd be great to see Paul Malignaggi back. Not so sure about Tim Bradley or Chris Algieri, but I think Paulie Malignaggi would be a good sidekick to get on. You can imagine if we had a really good host, Paulie Malignaggi in there, Roy Jones in there. I think that would be pretty cool. And then throw in a female in there as well. I think it'll be good, but they've just got to get the mix right. All right, Trevor. Looking forward to the Paulo Akuso Clay Waterman bout on Wednesday. Your thoughts? I think Clay Waterman will give a good account of himself, Trevor. But for me, Paulo Akuso is just at least 1 or 2 levels above. And not just Clay. I think the only one in Australia that I think would be anywhere near Paulo will be able to give him a good fight is Connor Wallace. And I still think I'd back Paulo Akuso in that fight. Maybe not quite here and now. Paulo needs a few more fights. What's he at the moment? He hasn't had a lot of fights, has he? Just bring up his record there. I've got the wrong card. Sorry, guys. I've brought up the December one. Anyway, I'll quickly type his name in. There is he. All right, so he definitely needs to get a move on as far as stepping up his or his opponent. So he's 7-0 with 4 KOs at the moment. Hasn't really fought anyone of real note. I mean, his last fight, Emmanuel Danzo, he got him out of there in 1 round. He did have a 35-7 record, but pretty ordinary. He's had a couple in there. But yeah, I think Clay Waterman will give him a tough fight, Trevor, but I think Paulo Akuso wins pretty comfortably, if I'm being honest. What do you think of Tommy Fury versus Darren Till? All right, we'll call you Bramble. Being honest again there, mate, I don't know anything about Darren Till, so you need to bring me up to speed. Now, I have seen that a lot of people talking about Darren Till, and while we're going, I'm going to bring this up now on Wikipedia or whatever it is. So, all right. So he is 32 years old. He is a mixed martial artist. Okay. So MMA guy. What else would you expect? Okay. Let me just have a quick look at him. So I don't know anything about him. Bramble. Let's have a bit of a look. So he's from England. He's nicknamed the Gorilla. So he's from Liverpool, England. Okay. Oh, so he's from the UFC. So 2015, 2017. Where is he now? So he's a current fighter. I know he left in 2023. Supposed to fight Chavez Jr. Tszyu versus. Oh, there you go. On 17th November, it was announced that Tszyu would make his professional boxing debut against English professional boxer Tommy Fury on 18th January 2025. Okay, on DAZN. All right. Okay, well, that's about all I know there, mate. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a UFC guy or MMA guy. I'm sorry. I just don't know anything about it apart from the real big stars I know a little bit about. But if it's a boxer versus an MMA guy, mate, I would back the boxer. If it's boxing rules, I would be backing him. So we'll see. All right, Glenn. Taylor was disgraceful with her use of the head. Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty tough word, disgraceful, Glenn, but I'm with you. I mean, I just felt for Amanda Serrano, and I know she didn't get a lot of sympathy from a lot of people because her trainer, whatever it is, might have been a bit vocal, but I didn't disagree with anything he had to say. I thought whatever he was saying, I know maybe the political correct thing is to maybe just shut up and have you say outside or whatever it might be. I actually thought he spoke really well, and I agree with what he had to say. And again, I don't think Taylor was doing it deliberately, but it doesn't matter. Her recklessness with her head did cause some horrific cuts to Serrano, and she should have been penalised more, just in my opinion. At least one more point. Now, I had it 5-5 with the point, would have had Serrano in front. An extra point would have put it beyond doubt for me. Yeah, I just think Serrano, and I think Serrano up until the point where she did get cut was doing really well. I thought she was winning a few of those early rounds. I think the commentators might have even had her winning the first 3 or 4 rounds. Now, Eddie Hearn didn't agree with that, of course, afterwards. Of course, he's going to say that. Geez, he got animated in the ring too, didn't he? I think he apologised afterwards. And I think at one stage they weren't going to allow him to go into the press conference. And I think Katie Taylor said, well, I'm not going to go up there and answer any questions if you don't let Eddie up there. Because, of course, there's the lawsuit happening as well. So, but, yeah, it's a tough word, Glenn, but you're right. I mean, it's probably just more disgraceful, more than anything, that nothing was done about it. The referee, I think, had a pretty bad night. Didn't have the best of nights at all. And I think he was criticised a little bit afterwards as well. Oh, okay, Glenn. So Harry's in training right now. Okay, I don't think I follow Harry on social media, so I can check that out. But, yeah, let's hope so. But let's just, I think the test for Harry, I think, is going to be when he cleans out the Aussie division, which is probably only going to take 3 or 4 fights and it'll be done. And then he's got to look to the international level. That's when the test comes. That's when it's real. You know, you can knock over a few of the Aussie pros at the moment. I did see that he might have gone up in weight. Is that right? He might have gone to 140. I think it might have been. He's at 135 now, or has been. So I didn't think he was that big, but anyway. But either way, I'm sure he'll clean out the Oz division in 3 or 4 fights. But that's when the test comes. Has he got it to go to that next level where you need just to be a full-time boxer and commit yourself to traveling all overseas for sparring and training and all that sort of stuff? That's when we're going to see whether Harry's got it in the ticker or not. Tommy's Fury's fighting again? Question mark. Adam says yes. Yep, he's fighting. What did you say his name was? Darren Till is his name. I was going to call him Darren Hill. Adam, all right, come on. Canelo's ducking everybody. He has no excuses but fear. He's even ducking his biggest payday, Jake Paul. Now, Adam, I hear what you say there, mate, and to some extent I agree. I'm not going to argue, but he's not ducking Jake Paul. I think that's a bit of a troll, that one. But look, I will name someone apart from David Benavidez, and I just think that David Benavidez won his business decision rather than him saying I'm scared of someone like David Benavidez. I just don't think it's the case. I just think he just has decided that, I just don't need David Benavidez at this stage of my career. And you got to also look at, I mean, as hardcore boxing fans, we all know that David Benavidez is he's probably the most logical choice for an opponent. But is David Benavidez a real big sell out there for the risk involved? Now, when you say there's probably no one else out there really for Canelo either when you think about it. Maybe going to light heavyweight and fighting Better Beef or someone like that might be on the cards. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think I don't think it would sell any more than, say, the Belunga fight did or the Charlo fight did. I just don't think outside of the hardcore boxing circles he's a big enough name. We'll see in February, won't we, when he's going to fight David Morrell at T-Mobile Arena as the main event. We'll see what he can bring to the table because I don't think he's been a big draw. So maybe, look, I'm not going to say Canelo's not ducking. He might be ducking in a business sense. And it might also just be his advisors saying, no, we're going to go down this path. Canelo might be saying, I'll take this guy. But his management who are saying, no, we don't need this guy. We're going to go down that way. I don't know. We're not behind the scenes. But I think it's a tough sort of comment to say he's ducking everybody. I mean, apart from Benavidez, he's fought everybody. Who hasn't he fought? Apart from Benavidez. So, I don't know. Even went to light heavyweight and fought Bivol. So, geez, Jake Paul. I don't know why people keep talking about Jake Paul. I know you're taking the piss there, Adam, but why are even people considering Jake Paul? The guy weighed, 227 pounds or something on the weekend. Canelo fights at 168. Why are people talking about, even though I still think Canelo would knock him out in about 2 rounds, but still, what is that? A 60-pound difference in weight. It's just ridiculous. All right, Eminem. Sorry, I'm probably a little bit behind here. I'll get moving. Some parts of the Netflix event were a little average, microphone issues, and they had the wrong name, etc., up on the screen when they were interviewing Barrios, among the other obvious things. Yeah, and I think, was it when the owner of the Cowboys was on? I think his microphone went out. Might have been Holyfield or Lewis as well that went out. But they're only little things. I'm willing to give them a mulligan, I suppose, if that's what the old term is to give them a bit of an out, give them just an excuse or whatever you might want to call it to say, okay, it was the first event. Overall, apart from 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different little things, I thought overall their first crack at it was really, really good. And I'm just excited that if they do get really serious about boxing, where it could take the sport. I've said it on here a few times. They are the biggest streaming service in the world with a lot of money behind them. If they came in, they could make some massive waves. And I did say again the other day, I don't know what you guys think, but how good would it be if someone like an Elon Musk said, all right, enough of this Saudi Arabia stuff. I'm going to get involved in boxing, probably more so going to go to UFC and get involved in that. But imagine someone like Elon Musk getting involved in boxing and being the Turkey Al Sheikh version of American boxing and saying, no. The big fights and cards aren't going to Saudi Arabia. We're going to put them on right here, and I'm going to pay him, accordingly to make sure the big events here make American boxing great again. That's what they'll be doing. So I'm all for that. And if anyone could do it, what's he worth? $80 billion? Jeez, he could fork out $1 billion a year or lose $1 billion a year just to put these big cards on, and it's pocket change to him. It's interest on a couple of his investments. So wouldn't that be great if he got involved? You can tell which sort of side I swing, can't you? But I just think he would be awesome. Look, everything he touches just turns to gold. But I just imagine that boxing X. It'd be pretty cool. Or X-boxing, you could probably call it. My fave boo-boo of the Netflix event was Mike Tyson flashing his ass to the world. Oh, yeah, I just couldn't believe that either, Eminem. And I did freeze for a lot of people on that. But when he was getting interviewed, first of all, he had the kiss with the interviewer, which turned out to be his son, so I missed that. But then when he turned around, I was like, what the hell? You would have thought they might have panned up a little bit. They obviously would have been able to see what was below the waist. But anyway, it was pretty funny, wasn't it? All right, Adam, he went to 175 after calling out Canelo 400 times. Yeah, okay, yep, good point. This is Benavidez you're talking about. All right, Carl, g'day. How good was that Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fight? And I'm not a fan of women's boxing. It was great in a certain way, Carl. I loved the fight, but I think someone pointed out on the stream we did on the weekend, it was probably disguised a little bit by the fact that it was a great fight, but it was a little bit of rock'em sock'em type of stuff, which is great. But maybe you would have liked to see a little bit more finesse. I mean, they can't win, can they? If they box and try and be nice and good technically, they get criticised. If they do the rock'em sock'em stuff, they get criticised. But either way, I love the fight, Carl. I thought it was fantastic. And to think that 50 million people were apparently watching when that fight was on, it went to 60 when the main event came on, and 70,000 in attendance. Great for women's boxing, mate. Okay, Glenn, looks like I'm in the minority here. Yep, Canelo, the definition of a duck now. What happened to all the Mexican fans out there, the Canelo fans? I'm not sure if I know a Mexican at the all-time great that avoided the best fight in their respective divisions. Yeah, good call, Carl. I can't argue with that. No, what I'm saying is I'm not totally trying to completely defend Canelo, because at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. All you guys are right that David Benavidez is the challenger in the division, and he's chosen not to fight him. I would have just thought, okay, it's his decision not to fight him, and whatever reason that was, that's cool. But one thing I do agree with, he should be stripped. Okay, the WBC should be stripping him of the title. They should say, well, it's your decision whether you don't fight him. I think that's been one of the main things as well. I know a lot of people get stuck into him just because he won't fight Benavidez, and that's cool. But I think there's also another side that go to another level, say, well, not only he won't fight him, the number one challenger and interim champion, but the WBC won't do anything about it. So I'm definitely with you on that. The WBC should strip Canelo of that belt. But good point there too, Carl. You're right. I can't think of anyone either that ever, or a Mexican all-time great that ever avoided anyone ever. That's what you look at. All the Mexican greats throughout the years, throughout the weight divisions, they've all fought the best of their era. So yeah, I would have thought that from Canelo's point of view, and whether they're looking at the business side of things, whatever it might be, I think his legacy is pretty safe at the moment, where he might just say, look, there's no one else really around. This might be Mbili, who's a nobody. There's maybe Janabek moves up, but again, not really well known outside of real tight boxing circles. So he wouldn't say, look, if I happen to fight Benavidez and lose, I'm still going to be Canelo Alvarez, an all-time great, Hall of Famer, all that sort of stuff. And I am surprised that he went to light heavyweight to fight Bivol, but won't stay at 168 to fight Benavidez. So I suppose I'm just arguing with myself here. But yeah, I'm just a Canelo fan. I'll probably get a bit up and about when people just criticise the legacy of Canelo. Because, okay, he won't fight Benavidez, but this guy's fought everybody over the journey. He's going to be a future legend of the sport. It's just as simple as that. That's probably why I get a little bit defensive. But it's hard to argue the fact that he hasn't fought Benavidez. I'll give you that. All right. Jesus Zerto just beat the UK top 5 boxer CBS, and CBS didn't take a dive like fake Canelo opponents, therefore merits to be number 1 from Mexico. I still don't agree with you there, Jesus. Canelo's still the best from Mexico, mate. All right, Bramble. Conor Wallace signing with Matchroom is huge. We'll get some big fights next year. Certainly will, mate. There will be some big fights for Conor, and I love Conor. I know him pretty well, actually. I've been to a couple of his fights in Queensland, and I know, I've met him at his gym up in Fortitude a couple of times. Just a really, really good guy. So, typical Irish guy. Loves to fight, loves to drink and have a good time, and yeah, just a really good guy. Carl, I think Manuel Mate took too much out of Harry. Do you think? Yeah, I don't know. I thought he won that fight pretty comfortably, Carl. But yeah, look, what's he had I think he had 5 fights. Yeah, look, and the thing is with him as well, he's had a lot of hand injuries, and that's not a good sign for someone that's not really a big puncher and wears amateur gloves most of the time. So he's, what is he there? So what's happened there? They've got his record mixed up with somebody else, because his record on BoxRec is 55 wins and 24 losses. And his last fight was against Richard Kovacs at one. Who they got him confused with there? That's it. All right, we'll go back. I'll click on him again and see. No, he's 3-0. Yeah, they've got his BoxRec mixed up with somebody else. Who we've got? No. Yeah, they've got Harry at 55 and 23. Don't know. I'll have a look later and see who they mixed him up with. But yeah, we'll see, Carl. You might be right. What's that, Adam? Must have missed Rap Star tonight. I don't know what that is, mate. But Mutzi, Saudi card was really good. Oscar Collazo, little weapon. I think CBS made Zerdo look good. Jai chops him up. Yep, I agree. Mutzi, he's a good little fighter, isn't he, Collazo? He's going to give a lot of fighters a lot of trouble, Oscar Collazo. Carl says, Harry is a celebrity now who wears dresses and paints his nails. Well, he does, Carl. And I think, doesn't he do ballet or something as well? Whatever works for you. Look, the media love him. So he'll get some gigs doing something. Don't worry about that. I think he's got the ability to, although he has had a few hiccups outside the ring, as we know, with some court cases and stuff. But yeah, I think he speaks really well, and he's a little bit out there. He's a little bit eccentric, but I think the TV networks love him, and I think he'll find a spot somewhere. I'm surprised he's not on something like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here or something. Not as, I know he's been on there as far as a contestant goes, but like a host or something, one of those type of shows. All right, the other day about Taylor Serrano, it was hard for me to watch with the cut because the women, I thought you meant women's boxing. It was a great fight. Yeah, Mark, it was. Yeah. I think I said in the stream as well, I haven't seen a cut like that since Shannon O'Connell fought, what was her name? I promoted the fight. You'd think I know. Where is Boxer at there? Hang on, I'm going to have to type it in now. Sorry, guys. I'll type in Shannon. She was from Colombia. And we brought her out to fight Shannon in Bendigo. What was her name? What was it? Back in 2015 it was. Her name was Diana Cordero. Fought at the Bendigo Stadium. And it was a technical draw. Shannon, there was an accidental clash. It was a pretty spiteful fight, by the way. They've clashed heads, and Shannon's eyelid literally peeled over her eye. That's how bad it was. It was a shocking cut. The worst cut I've ever seen on a female. Now, it's not like Shannon to get cut or get busted up, but that was horrific. It didn't end well. It was a little bit spiteful, as I said, but I just remember having the, recall a bit. I've seen a lot in boxing over the years, but yeah, I might have been a little bit sick in my mouth when I saw that one. Was that Tony? Have you ever met Jimmy Thunder? A few of us saw him at the Melbourne Showgrounds. He climbed through the ropes and whooshka, it was all over. Hardest puncher I've ever seen. Sadly left us all too soon. He did, Tony. He died, I think, in his early 50s. His real name was Jimmy Pugh from New Zealand. And he came over, they renamed him Jimmy Thunder because you'd think Jimmy Thunder is a lot more menacing a name than Jimmy Pugh or James Pugh, whatever his name was. So they called him Jimmy Thunder. I think he trained with Jack Rennie. And I did meet him once back in the day. Tony, I was only a little taco. This would have been, the mid to late 80s, I'm probably thinking, when he was around. He was the Aussie or Kiwi version of Mike Tyson. An absolute thunderous puncher, one punch at a time, boom, and he'd get you out of there. I think he might have had, or he did have a lot of fights in the US, and he was just bowling people over left, right, and centre. A little bit upright and a bit wooden sometimes. He did come unstuck a couple of times against good boxers, actual fighters that gave him some angles and some speed and footwork and all that sort of stuff. But Tony, they didn't call him Jimmy Thunder for nothing because he was an absolute thunderous puncher. He really was, excuse the pun. And he used to fight at the Melbourne Showgrounds all the time. And you know what, Tony? They don't even allow you to have boxing at the Showgrounds anymore. When I was promoting, I tried to put a show there, and they said, boxing? Absolutely not. It's crazy. Festival Hall was the same. All the big fights used to be at Festival Hall or the Showgrounds, and they don't even want to know about boxing these days. It's a shame. Ah, yes. Okay. What do you think of Lucas Barty? I thought he was okay the other day, Adam. I thought that was a really good fight. I'll just type in his record because that was the first time, if I'm being honest, I actually really sat down and watched him fight. I did have a few people say, you got to watch this fight. This will be the best fight on the bill. So he's from, there you go. He's from Canada. Is that right? Who knew the Canadians could fight? I'm only joking to the Canadians out there. I love Canada, as you know, if you watch my videos. I got beaten by one at the Commonwealth Games. I've never gotten over it. So he beat Amando Casamonica over the weekend. I was just looking at the scores there, 96, 93, 98, 92, 95, 95. Yeah, no, I'm impressed with him, Adam. I thought he's a very, very good fighter. What is he now? 18-0, 15 knockouts. So he is 30 years of age, though, so he needs to get a move along. I'm just not sure. He's fought for an IBF North American title. But that win on the weekend was a good win from him, Adam. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him. I think he'll get a couple of big fights down the track. I don't really like Diamante. Yeah, he says everything twice, doesn't he? The lady who was a commentator, Rosie from White Men Can't Jump, was useless. Yeah, that was Rosie Perez, Carl. Let's hope she might get the spear for next time. Boxing's first lady, says Shadow Boxer. Yeah, no, I'm not with you there, mate. I know she's a boxing fan. I've followed her in the past on social media. She knows her boxing. That's good, Shadow Boxer, but you need to be a lot better than just knowing boxing or being a boxing fan. You need to be able to project out to the audience. I just think she struggled a little bit. She would have been good to interview at ringside as a guest in attendance or whatever it might have been, but they need some better ones than that, I think. Carl says Tommy Fury, the Ken Barbie of boxing. He certainly is, isn't he? He's a pretty boy, right? Was it Taylor's fault that the referee let her use her head? No, it wasn't, Carl. No, I'm not saying it was. Actually, hang on, I'll read that again. Sorry. Why is it Taylor's fault that the referee let her use her head? Well, it's not. It's not, Carl. But again, as I said, I think her trainers along the line should have probably pulled her up a little bit. I'm surprised, and maybe it has happened, that in the pre-fight fighter meetings that it hasn't been brought up before that, hey, make sure you watch your head. I'm sure it would have. I'm sure at some stage it would have come up, and maybe even before this fight. Actually, I'm probably pretty sure it did, especially after what her trainer, Serrano's trainer, had to say after the fight, only happening in the other fight being cut. But it's not really Taylor's fault that the referee let her use the head. It's definitely the referee's fault there, Carl. But I think it's a bit of both. I think Taylor should have been pulled up more times and had more points deducted. But you're right, the referee was letting her get away with it. I think he only took the point off because I'm pretty sure there might have been a bit of pressure from ringside to maybe do something about it, because I know apparently there's a lot of yelling from the corner, from Serrano's corner in between rounds, and maybe it was projected up to him. I don't know, but that was the word anyway. But yeah, no, you're right. You can only do what you do, Carl, and it's up to the referee to actually referee the fight. That's what he's there to do, officiate it, and he let her get away with it. So he's probably just as much to blame. At least it wasn't Rosie from Roseanne. Good point there, Adam. Benavides isn't a big seller, but Belunga is. No, I just look at it. Probably a bad example. I just don't think that Benavides would be that massive fight that everyone thinks it is, though, Carl, with Canelo. Okay, the boxing fans would be probably a bit like Beterbiev and Bivol to some respects. I think Canelo and Benavides will probably be a little bit bigger, but you know what I'm getting at? Boxing fans love the Beterbiev and Bivol fight. It was one of the most anticipated fights for a long, long time. Everyone was counting down the days. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a big fight outside the hardcore group of fans. This is probably what I'm saying here. It's still Canelo, but I just don't think outside of those real hardcore fans, anyone's really they're going to be like David who? Benavides who? They're not going to know who he is. It's all going to be about Canelo. And that's why, and Belunga was pretty well known and had a pretty big fan base from what I gather. And the numbers were apparently really good. He might be fractionally bigger, Carl, but I just don't see Canelo versus Benavides as being as massive as people think it's going to be. The boxing world, again, will be counting down the days. I'll be looking forward to it. But just outside, you look at the level A, B, C, D, and E of boxing fans. The A, of course, are us that we live and breathe it. We read everything and watch everything that's given to us, and we consume everything. But then you got that, and that's going to be great. Everyone's going to be loving it. But then if you get to the B level, I think it'll be, oh yeah, that's right. And then you get to the C level, and that's it. It falls away pretty quick. So that's probably what I'm getting at. And you're right. I mean, Benavides is a bigger name than Belunga, but is he going to sell more than he? I just don't think he. Is he a bigger name in the sport? Yeah, he probably is. But is he going to sell more? Well, that's arguable. So, because Belunga had a pretty good turnout from what I saw anyway. But time will tell. Carl also says William Zepeda isn't as good as some people make out. If Farmer was in his prime, he would have won that fight easy money. Yeah, he didn't look great, Carl Zepeda. I think he struggled a little bit, but yeah, look, you can't look great in every single fight, and that's why I didn't sort of take too much out of even Boots Ennis a few weeks back, and he looked ordinary as well. So, Yeah, look, I think Williams Zepeda, I just think maybe he didn't get up for Farmer. He might have been exposed to some extent, but he's won his last few fights very, very easily. And I just think maybe the fact that Farmer turned up in pretty good nick, turned back the clock a little bit, might have caught Zepeda a little bit unawares and maybe had a little bit more success that way. I just think if the Williams Zepeda that fought Maxie Hughes and a couple other recent opponents, and I just think he would have got the job done. I just think he maybe underestimated where Farmer was at in this stage of his career, and almost paid the price, didn't he? Because I think it was a split decision, wasn't it? So, yeah, we'll see. Let's see what he's a bit like Boots Ennis, Carl. Let's just see what the fight is after this one. If he looks a bit ordinary again after this one, although it does look like it might be Shakur Stevenson, but even if it's not, we'll judge him on that. And that's why I'm interested to see how Boots Ennis goes in his next fight as well, to see whether he has been overrated and learns from a close call. Not that Ennis's fight was close, but it was tougher than expected. So I'm enthused to see what both guys bring to the table next time around, and whether they are overrated or they can regroup and get focused and get the job done. Get that John Ryder payday. Yeah, well, Carl Opatai will be licking his lips waiting for the Zerto fight. He boxes the absolute ears off him. Yeah, that's what I think too. If Canelo beats Benavidez, people will want Better Beeve next. Then he's ducking Usyk next. He's nearly 70 fights already. Mark, thank you. Someone that's sort of sticking up for me a little bit here. You're right. Canelo's one of those fighters, I think, like probably Mayweather before him and numerous others, and even Mike Tyson to some extent. No matter what he does, people are going to criticise him. And that's a good point you make there. Canelo fights Benavidez. Well, no good. Now and especially if Better Beeve calls him out. Well, now you're ducking Better Beeve. Well, that's the last fight Canelo needs, if you ask me. Going up to 175 to fight Better Beeve, who the style was all wrong for him, and it's a big, strong, hard 175 pounder. But he'd get accused of ducking him. And then you're right. And then he's ducking Opatai, and then he's ducking Usyk. Yeah, he can't win. But but having said that, I still agree with those. With the Benavidez thing, that it doesn't really make much sense that he doesn't fight Benavidez now. I think people would hopefully let him rest if he just beats or fights Benavidez, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, John Ryder, Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, but they're all the top guys in the division though, Carl. Let's have a look at the super middleweights at the moment. Super middleweight, sorry. Christian Mbili, maybe Diego Pacheco. That's it for the WBC. WBA have got Mbili, and that is about it. IBF have Mbili and Pacheco, and that is it. And WBO, Pacheco and Mbili. So apart from Pacheco, who's done nothing to warrant a world title fight, if you ask me, even less than Edgar Berlanga did, the logical one for me left at 168 is Mbili. So, look, maybe he's still considering the Crawford fight. I do agree that if he doesn't, like in his mind, to not consider Crawford because he's a no-win situation. So maybe he's looking at maybe Mbili in May, and then it might be Benavidez later in the year. I don't know, but they would seem to be the only logical opponents left for him unless he goes up to light heavyweight and fights Better Beeve. So, yeah, it's some fascinating times for Canelo. I'd love to see him fight Mbili. I think that'd be a great fight. Entertaining. I think Mbili's style is all like custom made for Canelo. I think he gets the job done, but it would be entertaining. All right, we'll get through some of these comments. I'm way behind, I know, as usual. Come on, I'm sure it's in the chat there somewhere. Speed it up, Lynden. All right, what I will say is if Canelo Better Beeve happens and that negates all the crap I've spoken about him, yeah, well, that's... And whether he loses that fight or wins the fight, Carl, I think his legacy would still be intact. Because, again, it's not like you got to win every time. I think Canelo recovered pretty well from the Bivol loss, but sort of forgotten and sort of put under the carpet a little bit or swept under the carpet. Well, as they say, dared to be great against a 175-pound fighter. Didn't get the job done. Went back to his own division. And apart from Benavidez, has cleaned it out. So, Canelo fans didn't complain when he wanted to fight Jamal Charlo, who was at 154, but they complained about him fighting a 41-0 Terence Crawford. It's funny how Canelo fans are so scared for him. Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe he learned his lesson from that, Adam. Maybe the feedback and criticism that came his way for fighting a 154-pound title, even though he was the undisputed champion at 154, maybe that's made him think, yeah, well, it's a no-win situation. If I beat him, I've fought a smaller guy. And remember, Crawford's coming up from 147 to 154 and then to 160. So, and then 168. So maybe he's just thought, I don't need the aggravation. I'll just stay where I am and not run the risk of upsetting even more people because they're pissed off enough as it is by not fighting Benavides. So must be Jules. That's what I thought, mate. Looking at the box rec of Harry, I don't think he would have lost that many fights, though, would he? Surely not. But I think, no, I don't think it is there, Jules, because the fighters he's fought, let me just have a look there. So it does say his amateur record is 55-24. Surely he didn't lose 24 fights out of 79, but 3-0 is his professional record. It's just on box rec. They've got his record, but it's not his record because he's fighting guys. Well, maybe it is. Yeah, actually, I think they've put his. That's crazy, isn't it? They put his amateur record on box rec. Crazy. Because you're right, he did lose to Kovacs at the Paris Olympics, didn't he? There you go. That's pretty cool. They've got his whole. If you want to look at Harry Garside's amateur career, there it is. It's on box rec instead of his pro career. All right, Eminem. Any news on upcoming No Limit shows, dates and who's on them? Will be 2 shows in December, apparently, Eminem. The 6th, I think it is, and the 13th, whatever it might be, whatever the first week and then the second week of December there, mate. Oh, hang on, I've missed something here. D-Style in the chat, and he's given me a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, D-Style. I'm still getting used to the super chat thing. It must have come up and I missed it. I'm sorry about that, mate, but I really appreciate the contribution there. And again, guys, if you don't follow D-Style Boxing, make sure you jump on. Great YouTube channel, and I've met D-Style over in the States. Where was that? The Tszyu and Fundora fight, wasn't it, D-Style? So that was awesome. We did a video together over there as well. So the round table on every Friday morning here in Australia, and second best show on YouTube. Just joking, D-Style. Love the channel, mate, and your content's fantastic. All right. Other than Zarafa, who could possibly Nikita fight next? Why haven't they made Nikita versus Hussein yet? I think that's the best fight for him in Australia. I'm with you there, mate. I think that Nikita Hussein would be a very, very good fight. I think the Zarafa fight is off the table now. I think that even depends on what happens with Tim. I think that's what it comes down to. If Tim says, well, actually, I'll backtrack. I think what might be happening now with what happened with Tim, they would be saying to some, well, I think this is what would happen. They'd be saying to Michael Zarafa, we're going to look at the Tim fight in the second half of 2025. Now, it might be July or August, but the second half, we want to get Tim a fight first and a win under his belt. So Zarafa, take a tune-up. And again, I think we've said on or discussed on here before, what makes sense is to put both of them on the same card, maybe in March or April or something like that, and have a big card together like Green Mundine did, build it up, and then they fight in July, August, September, whatever it might be. And Nikita, I think they would maybe learn a little bit out of Tim's loss, that maybe, if you rush him too quick or don't work on a few deficiencies that he might have, that could happen to Nikita, because we've all been on the edge of our seats the last 5 or 6 fights where it's like, oh, Nikita, will you hold or move or something, clinch, do something instead of just standing there and fighting these guys and getting knocked around so much. So I've never been totally sold on Nikita fighting Michael Zarafa, if I'm being honest. I've always just had a feeling that fight wouldn't happen. But having said that, I never thought Tim and Zarafa would happen either. But that's my gut feel there, mate, that I think that Zarafa will and Tim will probably fight on the same card in the first half of the year and then fight each other in the second half of the year. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but who knows, we could get Michael Zarafa and Tim Tszyu after all. Didn't think we'd be saying that a year ago, did we? Waterman KO'd Pampalone with 1 punch back in the unpaid ranks. It was brutal. Yeah, I did hear about that, Carl. But this is the pros. Totally different ball game, I think. And I just think Paulo Acuso, look, anything can happen. That's about his only chance, I would think. I don't think he's going to outbox Paulo Acuso, but all it takes is 1 punch, and he can punch Clay Waterman. So we will see. All right, Harry has discussed moving to super feather or feather. Wasn't he? Wasn't he at? Pretty sure he was already at lightweight. You mean move down, Jules? Where was he? Hang on. Where's his weights here? Maybe it's not on there. They haven't put his weights down. When did he fight last? Okay, so Andy Cruz at 2021. Just going through his record there. Okay, all right. I might have that. Okay. He didn't fight Sean Thomas, surely. He might have. All right, I haven't got his weights there anyway. Sorry, guys, I'm just talking to myself. But the way he was picked apart in Paris by Kovacs was concerning given his experience. Yeah, maybe, mate. Yeah. I always thought he was a lightweight, Jules, unless he's going down to super feather. I don't know, but he's not a big lightweight either. I heard he was going up to 140, but we will see. What's that? I finally got around to watching some of your old fights the other day. Bloody impressive. Thanks, Mutsy. I appreciate that, mate. Who was your coach? Pat Connolly was my first coach, Mutsy. And then, as of course we made the national team, Bodo Andreas was the main coach. I remember having the late, great Bo Gehring as a coach at state level and national level a lot of times as well. We loved Bo. He was fantastic. He was a fantastic guy and coach, and he was my Olympic coach. Jimmy Thunder's story was one of inspiration. Yeah, he was, Carl, that's for sure. D-Style, Taylor has that Tim Bradley approach when she attacks. Holyfield kind of did too. He did, D-Style. And there's a few fighters out there that do that with the 1-2 head or headbutt. And she's just one of those fighters. I just think it's a flaw that's been probably in her whole career. She's got away with it throughout the journey. But you saw the damage that it did the other day. So Shadowboxer, where can we watch some of your fights on YouTube? Yes, you can, mate. Yeah, I think there's half a dozen on there. I do have all my fights. I did put some on a while back, years ago, I think, but I have got them all. Maybe I'll look to put some on there, Shadowboxer. We'll put them on. Only the winning ones, of course. We never put the ones we lose up, do we? All right. Eminem, can't help but notice a Rafa posting about a fight with Tim literally every day on social media. Well, I don't actually follow Michael Zarafa on social media, Eminem, but it wouldn't surprise me. Hey, look, it might be a little bit cringe, but at the end of the day, he's got to do whatever it takes to get the fight. I don't blame him for just keeping on with it all the time because, like it or not, for Michael, this is it for Michael. This is it for Michael Zarafa. It's Tim Tszyu or it's nobody. If Tim Tszyu says, yeah, I don't care how much people want the fight or are calling out for the fight in Australia and how much the fight, makes sense. Yeah, I don't think I want to fight him. I'd rather fight someone else overseas and or bring someone in from overseas. I don't want anything to do with Michael Zarafa. He's had his chance and I don't want nothing to do with him. So I get that. So, but if that doesn't happen, I mean, what happens with Michael Zarafa after that? Especially if Nikita wipes him as well, he's literally done. Just in my opinion, I think it's too late for him to regroup and go again. I think he's shown that it may be at the absolute top level. He's up there, but not quite there, if that makes sense. And I think that's been shown. So I just don't see him getting back to the world scene. And I think the only avenue he's got is Tim Tszyu. And if he does happen to beat Tim Tszyu, you never know what can happen as far as getting another big fight. But it is literally Tim Tszyu or bust for Michael Zarafa, and that's why I don't blame him for just going hell for leather on social media. You got to do what you got to do these days, and he's a very good promoter of his own brand. Make no mistake about that. Carl, I couldn't care less who's the bigger name, bigger fan base. I just want the best fights. 100%, Carl. I agree. D-Style with the $10 US donation. That'd be about 150 Australian. It probably would be, Mutsy. Yeah, Actually, I think it comes up as US dollars, I think, though, Mutsy. So probably about $6 American to do a $10 donation. But I appreciate it, D-Style. I don't know what time of the morning is over there, but I appreciate you getting up there, mate. Getting up so early. Canelo versus Benavidez has De La Hoya versus Vargas vibes. I think it sells. Great, to be honest. I'm with you, D-Style. 100% with you as far as the legitimacy of the fight. I just don't think that Benavidez, outside that A level of or A tier of boxing fans, carries enough weight, especially not a De La Hoya or Vargas type of crowd. I mean, those two, especially De La Hoya, he was, a star across all sport in general, and Vargas was very well known as well and respected. I don't think Canelo Benavidez gets to that level, but look, it's definitely sellable. I just don't think it's as big a fight as maybe the A-tier fans think it is, that's all. I think an Oz dollar is about 76% American. Keep going, D-Style. The other day, an Australian dollar was worth 64 US cents. That's how well we're going over here. But we'll see what happens with the changing government over there, D-Style. We're not going to talk politics. I know we've all had our say, but I don't know what's going to happen as the journey goes on. But at the moment, it's about 64, 65 US cents is the Australian dollar compared to the American greenback. So what's it called? The Aussie dollar is called the Pacific peso down here. Yeah. Canelo versus Benavidez has the makings of a blockbuster. It's not always whether one person sells, it's putting two guys together to sell. I'm with you, Adam. I make no mistake about it. I mean, I see this as one of the biggest fights in boxing. I'm just looking outside the little bubble that we all live in as hardcore boxing fans. The casual that looks at it and says Canelo versus Benavidez, it may as well be Canelo versus Marquez or Smith or Jones. It's just to the fans outside that hardcore bubble. Yeah, as I said before, like Better Beav and Bivol, massive fights, massive interest in the boxing world, but just outside, the hardcores, I just don't know whether it's any bigger than a Belunga fight, if I'm being honest. And Billy is probably a tougher fight than Benavidez, to be honest. D-Style, I agree. I just think Benavidez is custom made for Canelo. So that's like 4 Starbucks. Yep. Yeah, I'm actually heading to the States on Wednesday, D-Style, and that's why I've been looking at the dollar, thinking, geez, it's going to cost me $17 for a coffee. And when you go away, I mean, when was the last time I went with the family? There's only 3 of us going this way. The other couple of times it's been 4. You go out and spend $100 Australian on breakfast. So after a while, it's like, guys, I think what we'll do is maybe have 1 meal at a restaurant per day, whether it be breakfast or lunch or dinner, and then we'll just snack and get some takeaway the other meals. It's just ridiculous. $100 for breakfast. And you don't sort of look at it until you get back and look at your statement and go, holy shit, I've gone to Starbucks and got a coffee and a bagel, and it's $23 later Australian. It is crazy. Fair income. I do like the Starbucks OD style. I've got to say, not a fan of American coffee, the poured stuff, the filtered stuff, or whatever it is, the black coffee. I do like the Starbucks seasonal stuff. So when we get there, they should have the Christmas ones out. I like that. My favourite though is the spiced pumpkin around Halloween time. I love that. I think they might have that at Christmas time as well. But that's what I live on over there, mate, because it's the closest I can get to a half-decent coffee. And I don't want to rain on your parade over there, but the coffee there is not good. Not good. Tank is impressive, but also kind of hype, says David. Who would you like him to beat to prove himself? Well, yes, good question, David. And I don't know why he's wasting his time with the Lamont Roaches of the world when he's got so many other big fights out there, especially when he's having 1 fight per year. At least make it count. While Lomachenko looks like he's out of the picture, I would think Zepeda would be a really, really good fight. Of course, Shakur, they're probably the 2 big 2, I gather. Maybe even Bollicher could be a pretty good fight. Let's have a quick look at the rankings while we're going there, David. So he's at lightweight. So he's got the WBA belt. So Zepeda's ranked number 1. Floyd Schofield at number 2 now with a bit of a rocket. I think it's a bit early for Floyd. Andy Cruz is definitely one in the next sort of year to 2, I reckon, David. But right here and now, and Keyshawn Davis, you would probably say. So I'm going to say right here and now, I'm going to say William Zepeda. But that looks like he's going down a different path. Potentially, I'm liking Andy Cruz or Keyshawn Davis. 2 excellent fights for him. Carl Lynden, you can choose amateur or pro on each fighter on box. Oh, there you go. Well, how come it's not giving me that option there, Carl? I don't know why. So, hang on. No, it's not. Oh, hang on. Yes, it is. Oh, Carl, you've done it for me, mate. Thank you. 3-0. There you go. He's only had 3 fights. Okay, so he beat Sachin Medalia back in 21, beat Manuel Marte. What's happened to him? He hasn't fought for a while. I'll look at him in a sec. In 2022, so that was 4 months later. Then fought the following month against Leighton McFerrin. I actually promoted Leighton a couple of times. I promoted him twice, and he upset the A side both times. Leighton McFerrin. He's a bit of a spoiler. Yeah, okay. So he hasn't fought for 2.5 years in the pros. That's gone really quick. Emmanuel Mate hasn't fought. I don't know. He fought in June back in this year, and he's fighting at the end of this month against Jake Clegg. So there you go. All right, we'll move on. Thanks for pointing that out. And D-Style, thanks, mate. Adam, so you're a pro boxer, Lynden? No, I wasn't, mate. I was an amateur. Didn't turn pro. Thank you for letting us chat. No worries, Breakaway. Also, Sammy Goodman is 1 win away from being best pound-for-pound boxer in Oz. Tough ass, but you never know sometimes. Or, mate, if he wins, oh, geez, if he does beat Naoya in a way, I mean, I think you probably got to put him at number 1. I know there'll be a lot of Jaya Pattaya fans out there that'll be having heart attacks about now, but I think you'd have to make the argument. If Sammy Goodman can beat Naoya in a way, I would have him at number 1, above Jaya Pattaya. If you put them side by side, you'd probably have to say Jai was maybe a little bit more talented than Sammy Goodman. But look at the resumes. Marius Bredas, I know, is a gun, but he certainly ain't no Naoya in a way. So I think he would be number 1, Breakaway. I think definitely. Can he get the win? I don't think so. More hoping rather than anything, mate. But I mean, Naoya in a way, I don't think is going to let Sammy Goodman take his belts. I wouldn't have thought. D-Styles, Rafa trying to get the Tim Tszyu bag. Can't blame him, no. That's right, mate. Tim will beat the living hell out of Zarafa. Zarafa just trying to secure the bag. Yep. Again, you can't blame him, D-Style. But, yeah, I'm probably with you. I'll probably come around a little bit, D-Style, from initially after the Murtazalia fight thinking, oh, geez, why are they even thinking about Zarafa now? And I still probably stick to that. Because why take the risk if you don't need to? But I'm thinking if Tim came back and got anywhere near where he was before the loss, he would have enough for Michael Zarafa. Maybe you only need to be at about 65% or 70% of mental and physical, probably more mentally. Physically, we know he's going to be fine. But even if he was at 65, 70% mentally, I think he'd be enough for Zarafa. But I just don't think they should take the risk when they don't need to. Get that fight under the belt, beat a journeyman, and then go for Michael Zarafa after that, and then relaunch into the second half of 2025 or even into 2026 and try and get back to where you were. But it's going to be a long road back. Can anyone tell me what on earth is happening with Brock Jarvis? He signed with no limit and nothing. Crickets, no. There's a lot of talk between him and Hardman at one stage. Nikita has been mentioned there as well. He looks big at the moment. I can see he's doing a lot of training, Carl, so I'm not quite sure where he's at. I've heard lots of rumours about who he's going to fight, but nothing concrete. And still, he's been on the sidelines, and he hasn't actually fought. Let me just put in his record for a second. I don't think he's fought for, a couple of years? I don't think. 21-1. Hasn't fought since March last year, so it's been over 18 months since he fought, and that's when he really struggled to that fourth round stoppage over Marlon Paniamogan on the no limit card. But yep, I don't know, mate. Well, what is he now? Hasn't got his age there, but I think he's still only mid-20s, Carl. So he's got a bit of time. But yeah, I would hope they're spending that time working on his defence because he did get hit way too much, and the punch resistance didn't really seem great. So let's hope he might even get back with Jeff. You never know. All right, Tim will bounce back. He's proved everything he needs to prove on the Aussie level. Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. There's Peter in the chat. How are you, Peter? Yeah, Harry, that was lightweight. That's what I thought. Does Zarafa make at least $1 million versus Tim or high 6 figures? Good question, D-Style. I would think he would make, I think if it was Tim Tszyu versus Michael Zarafa, I would say 1.5. And Tim would probably make about 3.5. That's just off the top of my head, thinking of the numbers. That's what I think. It's big business over here, D-Style. I know over there in the States, it's pretty much Michael who? Oh, that guy that got starched by Erislandy Lara. That's probably the what comes to your mind over there. But it is big business here in Australia still. And ever since Tim's loss to Murtazalia, it's been all. I know you follow social media over here, but it's been everywhere, and it's what everyone's talking about. But I think he would make probably 1.5 and Tim about 3.5. Look, it would do massive numbers on pay-per-view here, D-Style. The gate would even be big. They'd probably put it at a stadium. They might get 10 to 15,000 to the event itself, and they would probably, not that it's big over there in the States where blockbusters are, $1 million pay-per-view buys, but here it could do 150, 200,000 pay-per-view buys in a country the size of Australia with 25 million people. That's a fair old chunk. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of guessing as far as the pay-per-view numbers, but I'm thinking if $1 million is the mark over in the States, it could do maybe even 250 here. It'd be a big pay-per-view event. Yeah, win over anyone can help get your confidence back. Certainly can, Adam. Damn Eminem watching the show. Eminem, yeah. Probably a bit late, but 100% Bellum Smith was garbage, says Peter. British level, Opataya has way better feet than Zerdo, and Zerdo is easy to hit. I think it goes the distance, and Jai, yep, boxes his ears off. I'm with you there, Peter. Paro happened to Jarvis. Ouch, yeah. That was pretty brutal, that one, Shadow Box. What a left hand that was. Boom. Zarafa beats Tim. I think Tim is done. Tim KOs him, and Zarafa will fold like a deck chair. I'm still, as I said before, Peter, I'm still hesitant about taking the risk of fighting Michael Zarafa. If he turns up anywhere near his best, I think it's more than enough to get the job done. I think if, let's just say, if a 75 to 80% Tim turns up, I think it's pretty one-way, pretty one-sided and one-way traffic, Peter. I think he probably exposes Michael a little bit as not being really at his level. I think his style is custom-made for Tim, and even with Tim's last loss, I just don't see... look, Michael won't lie down easy. He's going to really fancy himself, and he always tends to grow a leg in fights here in Australia. But I just think, take the Murtazalia fight away, and let's hope it was just an aberration, a one-off. Before that, Tim, it looked really, really good. And I think that version of Tim, even the Fundora Tim, I think beats Michael pretty easily. Peter, Paro destroyed Jarvis, who went down like the Titanic. Yeah, he did, didn't he? He certainly did. Jarvis can't go up too far. He's chinny like Amir Khan. Well, you never know, Carl. Maybe the extra weight might be enough just to solidify himself a little bit, because you got to remember he wasted himself down to the weight a lot of times and paid the price. All right, Sam. It's Cal Jane here. G'day, Cal. Happy safe travels. Can you tell me how I can financially contribute? Don't know how that works. Cheers. Well, thanks, Cal. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm off to America on Wednesday. Heading to Texas for starters. We're going to Dallas for a couple of days, and then we're up to Boston for 4 days, and then back down to Dallas. Then we're driving to Houston, and then we're driving across to San Antonio, and then we're driving back up to Dallas. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. Got my oldest son being left home alone for the first time. Now, he's turning 20 while we're away, so he's not really a kid anymore, but I'm more concerned about our little dog, Neil, to be honest. He's a rescue dog, and he's pretty clingy, so I'm hoping he doesn't miss us too much, but I'm sure our oldest son will look after him quite well. I'm sure he's going to have a shadow because he gets pretty clingy, does Neil. But no, I really appreciate that, Cal. Look, I don't even know how it sort of works, Cal. If anyone can let Cal know with the super chat thing, but it's not why I do the channel, Cal. I just do it because I love it. But yeah, it's appreciated, and whether we use it for future trips going away or we donate it to charity or something, it'll all go to a good cause, Cal. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peter says, any chance the Victorian government can fix the holes in the road? I blew a tyre today, $600. Strangely enough, Peter, I was listening to SEN this morning, and they interviewed Barry Michael on there. You would have heard me talk about that on Walking Boxing this morning, and Dermy was on there. Dermot Brereton was having his say about how bad the roads are in Victoria. We're the most overtaxed state in the country, Peter, and we've probably got the worst roads in the state. So work that one out. I know we're not going to get into it, but I know you agree they blow just shitloads of cash on rubbish. Maybe that $360 million they wasted on the Commonwealth Games, or the $1 billion they wasted on the East-West Link, or whatever it was that never got built. Maybe that could have come in handy to fix the roads. But yeah, we are the most overtaxed state in the country, and they can't even fix a pothole. It is ridiculous. But anyway. All right, Axie Man, be interesting to see where Billum Smith goes after yesterday's loss. Maybe he fights Jack Massey next. Well, something like that would make sense, Axie Man, to get him back on track. Look, he's still got a fair bit to offer, Billum Smith, but he's just nowhere near the level of a Zerdo or a Jai. So there's always going to be room for guys like him. Maybe he might pick up a belt down the track if someone vacates or whatever it might be. I think that's his best chance, because I think yesterday showed he's limited at that level. What's that? Shadowbox. I don't know where you are, but the roads around Franga are terrible also. Where's Franga, Shadowboxer? Let me know. All right, shut up. What's your favourite fight of yours on YouTube? My fights. I'm just trying to think of the ones on there. There's the one in Bendigo. That's probably the favourite one, Shadowboxer. It's always good when you win by a stoppage, isn't it? Of course, they're the only ones you're going to put on. Although I must say, the fight with Pierre Carums had a lot of views. If Pierre, of course, he fought at the Kronk Gym after they went and turned pro in the States under Emmanuel Stewart in Detroit. But I fought him, I think if you watch again my videos, I fought him in a gym in Melbourne, the Brizzy Brothers Gym, in front of about 100 odd people, crammed into a little gym in the suburbs of Melbourne on a Sunday morning in January, whatever it was, and it was like a cockfight. It really was. Pierre and I going for it in front of the ring wasn't elevated at all. It was just a flat canvas on the ground, so we were at floor level, so we weren't even above everyone. It was the most bizarre thing you've ever seen. It really was. Tim versus Thurman. Thurman's not doing much better than Zarafa. Thurman, forget about him, Cal. Like, what's he had? One fight in 5 years. I'm not even thinking about Thurman. I don't think they would take the risk on him again, if I'm being honest. Eminem, what was your final record in your boxing career? Good question, Eminem. I think I worked out I had 103 fights. Now, that could be give or take one or two either way. I think I did the sums in my head. I think it was about 103 fights, and I might have lost 12 or 13 of those fights from memory. Again, don't 100% quote me on it. I'm not sure. Am I on BoxRec? I doubt it. But only been an amateur. Where am I? I've never actually thought of doing that. I'm going to BoxRec myself if they do amateur. They would know anyway. How would they know what I was fighting 30 years ago in the amateurs? Hang on. Let's have a look. Where do I come up on BoxRec? Have you ever done this, anyone? Googled yourself or... Oh, actually, I'm on there. Hang on. I've got a 5-2 record. Where's that? Hang on. There's even a picture of me on there. I've got a 5-2 record with 3 knockouts. Well, there you go. What fights have they got on there? Okay, 92, Michael Nash. Yeah, I did fight him at the Nationals. There's the Olympics. Nurzam Smanov. I always forgot his name because I can't find him. So that was his name, Nurzhan Smanov from Kazakhstan. I fought him at the Atlanta Olympics. South Africa, Christopher Enyolo. Yes. Michael Blaney. Yes, who I beat in the final in South Africa. Geez, there you go. Fritz Roberts. I forgot his name. That was his name. Fritz Roberts at the Commonwealth Games. William Cowan. Oh, so it's got the Commonwealth Games fights there. All right. So William Cowan, he was the Irishman I fought in the in the quarters, and then I lost to Jeremy Molitor in the semis. Quick story about Jeremy Molitor, the guy that beat me at the Commonwealth Games in the semi-finals. I forgot to even mention it in my video the other day. After our fight, he was found guilty or was charged, whatever it was, of murdering his girlfriend and copped a life sentence. Did Jeremy Molitor. I think did he get a life sentence? I don't know. He might be out now, but wasn't a very nice boy, was Jeremy Molitor. And as I said, he went to jail for murder and had a brother called Steve Molitor. I think he won a world title. So it says here, former Canadian boxer, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, currently on parole for second-degree murder. There you go. So his brother was Steve, who I think they were known as the Bruise Brothers. So he was convicted in 2002 of that murder. Okay. Geez, 21 years old was the girlfriend. Shocking. So we won't spend too much time on that, guys, but he's on parole. So you might even be watching this. Who knows? Hope you're doing well out there, sort of, Jeremy. But, yeah, that was my final fight. All right. A few more donations and you can enjoy 2 hotel breakfasts. Getting there, Ryan. Hey, I got my YouTube balance today and I'm up to $150 that they're going to pay me, Ryan. So I'm on my way. All right. Even McDonald's breakfast is like $12 American. Now, don't tell me that, D-Style. It's going to cost me $20 per person. If Sam Goodman beats the monster, or the monster, I should say, I'll eat my talking boxing shirt. Well, remember you said that there, mate. Kamakeo fighting in Dubai, Dubai on December 6th. I did see he was fighting there, Eminem. I didn't know that was the case there. I knew he was. I thought that might have been in Melbourne. Well, thanks, Eminem. Oh, so Tara, that's my wife. So watch the one from Pierre, or the fight with Pierre, Olympic qualifier. Yeah, it was like a cockfight. Exactly. That was crazy. It was just bizarre being in there. It really was. And I'm sure Pierre would tell you the same thing. To be in there on a Sunday morning, I think it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I had to drive down from Bendigo, which is an hour and a half drive, probably on that side of Melbourne, probably 2-hour drive. The only good thing about it was the weigh-in thing. I just jumped in. I made weight the night before, jumped in a car and just drove to Melbourne and weighed in, and then was into it. There was one fight on the card. It was just Pierre and I. We got changed. I don't think there was even proper change rooms. I think I got changed out the back in the car park. 100-odd people crammed in this little gym, and as I say, there was like a cockfight. It was a crazy event. And when I look back on it on YouTube, it's like, what the hell are we doing there? D-Style, Sam Goodman isn't beating Inouye. If Sam beats Inouye, I'll shave my head. Okay, well, we've got a few bets on here. Okay, hang on, we've got a super chat from D-Style again. Thanks, mate. I'm going to have to do some super chats for you now to pay you back all this money, you realise. 1.5 million for Zarafa. Definitely working for that bag, yeah. Look, it might be a little bit out there, D-Style, but I really think that's what he'd get paid. Could even be a little bit more. It will generate a lot of money here. I know it's only about $500,000 over in America, but still a lot of money here in Australia. Carl Zerto being a southpaw, we'll see a clash of feet with another southpaw. Jai uses angles and stops Zerto in round 10. Yeah, I would agree with that, Carl. I think I might have said 10 or 11 rounds. I think he gets the job done. Tim can beat me up for 1.5 million if he wants, yep. Sam, Tim fighting someone before NRL games in LA or Vegas, is it, Cal? Maybe it's good. I think February might be a bit early though, Cal. You'll be in Texas, but still like 12 hours away from me. Is that how far it is? It's a big state, isn't it, Texas? I thought you are from Texas, though, aren't you, D-Style? Is that how big Texas is? I know it's, I think it's a 3 or 4 hour drive from Dallas down to Houston, and then another 3 or 4 hours across to San Antonio, and then another 3 or 4 hours back up to Dallas. So it's a nice, even triangle. But we're going to be busy. Just on that too, guys, I am going to do daily vlogs. Now, I know it's not boxing related, but I've had a few people say, well, you've got to keep doing your videos. We like your videos of what you get up to. It doesn't necessarily have to be just boxing. So I'm going to do daily vlogs. And worst case, they'll be on there forever that I can go back and look at for future memories, I suppose. But we've got 2 Boston Celtics games we're going to. We've got a Boston Bruins game we're going to. We've got a Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. And the Dallas Mavericks versus the Timberwolves or someone like that. One of them. And I think Boston Bruins might be playing the Vancouver Canucks. But we've got 3 basketball games, a football game, and an ice hockey game to go to, as well as we're going to go to do the machine guns, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be a fair bit going on. We're actually in Dallas on the anniversary of the JFK assassination, November 22nd, 1963. So our first day in Dallas will be November 22nd. So we'll go, we're only a 5-minute walk down to Daily Plaza. So we'll go down there. We'll do the tour of the book depository, and I'm sure there'll be conspiracy theorists everywhere down the street. The one time I went to Dallas back in 2014, there were people that sit out the front and hand out videos and books and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure on the day of his anniversary, they'll be everywhere. And it's really funny in Dallas too, because there's a couple of big crosses in the middle of the road that signify where it actually happened, where the kill shots were, or the first shot and then the kill shot. And it's a functioning road. Now, you'd think that maybe they might have, when it all happened, they might have maybe built another road around it and cut it off for historical significance, and maybe the fact that it'd be a monument to JFK, but it's a functioning road. And when I was there was like Japanese tourists, and not just Japanese, but I mean, I did it as well, but tourists just walking out to the middle of the road and getting selfies on this X in the middle of the road. And there's cars just coming down at, 80 kilometers an hour, or what's that, about 50 miles an hour down this road. And people in the horns, and these tourists in the middle of the road. And at one stage, the cops come, we're putting the sirens on for people to get off the road. I mean, as I said, I would have thought that maybe they would have, blocked that portion of the road off and built around it, so it would have historical significance and a monument or a memorial, whatever it might be. Because the amount of tourists that were there was just crazy. You get up behind the grassy knoll, and I went upstairs to the window. It was right next door to the window. They've actually got it blocked off the actual window on the 6th floor, but right beside it, it's got like a glass box around the original window, so you can sort of see where it all happened. They've got it all with boxes and all that there, so you can see what it would look like. But just to be in the window and look down onto the road, and you can see the big X in the middle of the road. So it's pretty eerie stuff. And I actually went to his house that he lived in a few months before the assassination with his wife, and the little gate out the back, little fence gate sort of area where he's standing there in that famous picture all dressed in black with a gun that he said was doctored. I stood right there. Pretty crazy. Anyway, better get my ass in the gear here. We've got about 15 minutes to go, and I think I'm still well behind. All right. Gonna love the Texas highways. Gotta love the Texas highways though. That's one good thing. We're good in Texas, the roads. Well, that'll be one good thing, D-Style. I do, mate, there's nothing better than I've done in America. And I've been there that many times I've lost count and been all over the country. But one thing that I love doing, and I implore everyone out there that maybe gets to America one day, is don't just fly all over, jump in a car and drive. Just do it. Might take a little bit longer. You might need a little bit longer to do it. But jump in a car and just drive. The American countryside is just brilliant and so much to see, and especially if you're doing the historical sort of thing. And I go back to, was it last year when I flew to Dallas, but I jumped straight in a car in Dallas and drove to Oklahoma for the George Kambosos fight. Stayed in Oklahoma. Went to Oklahoma City while I was there and did the Oklahoma bombing site and all that sort of stuff. Then I drove to Memphis for a couple of days, drove to Louisville to do the Elvis stuff, went to Louisville, Kentucky. That was a 6-hour drive, another 6-hour drive to Kentucky or Louisville to do the Muhammad Ali stuff, the grave and his house and that sort of stuff, and then flew to Las Vegas from there. So I was in the car for 16 hours and it just flew by because it was just so much to see. It really is. So if you get a chance, jump in the car and drive around America. Don't fly. And don't just go to the capital cities. Get out of the capital cities and the tourist areas and just get out into the old-time USA or the regional or country USA, whatever you might want to call it, and see the country that way. Oh, Frankston, okay. All right, we'll keep going through there. What's that? I'll fight Tim for 1 million. All right. What's that there, Jules? My comment above. Consistently researching, updating records, including amateur. Okay, over time your record might change as they add more fights. Okay, well, I hope I've got a better record than that there, Jules. I've got a 5-2 record at the moment with, at least I've had 3 stoppages in there. Who are they against? Oh, yeah, Fritz Roberts at the Commonwealth Games, Christopher Agnolo in Bartho, and Michael Nash in Darwin. That's actually false because I didn't stop Michael Nash in the first round in Darwin. That was a very competitive final that went 3 close rounds, that one. So, yes, Peter, fake Paul pocketed 60 million and Mike got 30 million. Crazy. Larry, hopefully the claim that the cruiserweight division is nothing but unskilled small heavyweights in this area will die down. Was a very entertaining and skilled fight the other day, and Zerto was excellent. He was excellent, Larry, yeah, and that is the fight, to make, isn't it? Forget about Usyk coming down. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. But Zerto and Jai makes all the sense in the world, and as I said before, I'm sure we'll get that fight next year. But it's a good fight, isn't it? And you're right, it probably makes a mockery of this thing about the just small, unskilled heavyweights that just fight at cruiserweight because they don't want to fight at heavyweight. Peter says Opatai is not going to stand in front of Zerto, and Opatai will make him panic with his movement and throw Zerto's timing out. He's not the fastest guy in the world, Peter, on his feet or with his hands, and that's where I think Jai Opatai gets him. I think that's a pretty comfortable win. It will be tough because he's a tough guy, Zerto, and he's going to be there for 12 rounds. Well, maybe 12 rounds. Again, I think Jai gets him late, but I just think Jai just has him covered in all areas. I just can't see with his footwork and his power, punching speed that he can go with Jai. What's that? Texas is huge. I'm in El Paso. Okay, I'll look that up. D-Style. I don't know where El Paso is, but I'll look it up. All right, Jules. Zerto struggled with Bivol's movement, and Jai is closer to Bivol than CBS. Good point, Jules. We'll have no issue landing that big straight left hand. Yep, couldn't agree more, mate. Zerto won't take Jai's power. He just won't, says D-Style. I agree. Carl says should put all donations on Celtics to win the championships. Yeah, they've started off really well there, Carl, haven't they? The Celtics. My younger son's pretty happy about that. He's a Celtics tragic, make no mistake about that. All right, Zerto has one hell of a chin, so I don't expect Jai to knock him out. I think it will be a close competitive affair, but Jai will eke out the W in the final rounds. Yeah, I don't think he knocks him out, Larry, but I think he can stop him. And what I mean by that is a referee just stopping in. I mean, I can't see in any way that Zerto is knocked down or even knocked down by Jai, let alone knocked out. So, yeah, I think he might get saved by the referee. But either way, let's just hope we get that fight, mate. It'd be a great fight. Celtics have had a shocking start to the season. I don't think they have they? Haven't they won all but 2 or 3 games, Carl? I'll have to check that. All right, one thing that speaks to Zerto's advantage is how he's constantly fought high-level fights while Jai's been served a lot of C-level opponents. Yeah, can't argue with that one, Larry. Besides Brutus, hopefully Jai is ready. Yeah, well, I think he's more than ready, Larry. I think, again, Zerto will be tough, but I think this is the fight that proves to everyone that Jai is the real deal, and especially at cruiserweight, he is the man. And I think after that, the only real thing to do is go to heavyweight. D-Style, I don't believe there was one shooter. Impossible. Bullets fired way too fast. I've shot rifles. That rifle couldn't fire that fast, just saying other factors. I think along the same lines, D-Style, but I suppose the thing is I keep thinking, we'll never know. They're not going to come forward. I just think the only other thing with that D-Style was that if so many people are involved after all these years, why hasn't someone come forward, a relative, a friend, someone, or the person themselves, to let us know exactly what happened? I'm with you. I've seen all the videos, and everyone's tried to do it, to fire off a rifle, that type of rifle, that quickly. Yeah, I think he was involved in some way, but whether he was a patsy or not, we will never know. It's one of the great conspiracy theories, isn't it? We can send Andrews and Allen to Texas to run the state finances. I wouldn't recommend Andrews or Jacinda Allen to anyone. I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy, Peter. I can tell you those two. Oh, my God. Can you believe that they're going to give Dan Andrews a statue? Crazy. All right, breakaway. Cruiserweight is a dangerous division, one of my faves, and underrated division. I agree there, mate. I drove to Colorado, says D-Style, and saw a pack of wolves and deer entering Colorado from New Mexico. East Nice too. I recorded some of it. That's crazy. Yeah, as I said, guys, get in the car and drive. It's the best thing you'll do. Now, come on, Tara. Let's not get into the conspiracy theories. She says he was a patsy. Did all the fighters who beat Paul pay up caddy? What's that pay up caddy bet purse? I'm not quite sure what that is there, Cal. Might have missed that one. D-Style says, and his brother, hang on, this is all the the JFK stuff, that his brother was killed. I'll always believe CIA was behind it. There's some big, there you go, Ross, thanks, mate. 11-3, that's what I thought it was. The thing with it too, I follow a guy on YouTube named Michael Franzese. He's actually mentioned in the movie Goodfellas. He's a former gangster. Look him up on YouTube. He has some really good stuff about mafia and all that sort of stuff, and I really like what he has to offer. He's convinced the mafia were involved with that, and a lot of it's to do with Jack Ruby being apparently with strong links to the mafia, and he of course got in just to eliminate or rub out the suspect before they could talk to the cops, as they do, and he's convinced that, and not just convinced by what he's seen and heard, but people that apparently would know something have told him that the mafia were behind it, but we will never know, will we? The last JFK speech was so cryptic, talking secret societies, etc. Yeah, well, I mean, even look at the movie D-Style. I didn't really like the movie a lot, if I'm being honest. I just thought they went in. I just thought the whole focusing on. I know it was about the first person ever trialed to have anything to do with JFK. What was it? What was the guy's name? It played by. What was his name? The guy out of Men in Black. Whatever, his name escapes me now. But yeah, it was all about that. I would have liked to delve in a little bit deeper as far as the actual conspiracy theories go and all the rest of it, rather than just focus on that. I think the next big one coming is the 9/11 one there, D-Style. I would think that at some stage there'll be a JFK movie equivalent of 9/11, because they talk about conspiracy theories. It's probably got even more than the JFK one has, so crazy. Hang on, Tara. Definitely one of the 3-letter agencies. Are you going to get yourself barred here, Tara, and you're going to get me kicked off YouTube with your conspiracy theories? Katie Taylor bet the purse. She did too, didn't she? Was that? No, that No, is that the fight, the purse with, or the bet with Jake Paul, was it, Cal, about Katie Taylor betting her purse that Mike Tyson would beat Jake Paul. I'd be staggered if he held her to that bet. I think she was just being nice and shaking his hand. But Larry thought Farmer did well, but didn't see that close of a fight. He got outlanded by 225 punches. I just don't think that's close. Also, the first ever 10-round world title fight in history. Was it for a world title? Oh, an interim title. It was too, wasn't it? Interim WBC belt. I didn't even realise that. You did right. Spot on. It was for the WBC interim belt, but it was only a 10-rounder. There you go. First male world title fight, of course. The females fight 10-rounders all the time, but that's pretty crazy, isn't it? I think it was close-ish, Larry. I thought Zapata definitely won the fight, but Farmer did a lot better than what I thought he would. So I give that to him. But yeah, I don't think he come close to actually winning the fight. I just think it was a lot closer than what a lot of people thought. Peter, watch Trump at the UFC on YouTube. Top-notch leader, unlike Elbow Sleazy. Now, Peter, you're going to get a few people upset there. Here we go. Geez, now we're going into some strange territory. Jules says, what are your thoughts on UFOs or UAPs? What really is in the basement of Studio 54? Good question, Jules. UFOs, I don't know. I did watch a show on Netflix not long ago, a documentary about the UFOs on abducting some lady or whatever, and the closest thing they've ever got to proving that someone was abducted. I don't know. It's a bit like religion, Jules. I don't sort of comment stuff I don't really know much about, or there's no real evidence. And until I see an actual UFO in the flesh, or there's no doubts about it being doctored, I'll still say they are a myth. Okay, so I'm just like anything. I don't sort of prescribe to what people tell me is the case. I go by what I know is fact. And as far as I know, there hasn't been a UFO that's been paraded out to everyone and said, look, they exist. I haven't seen an alien that's been marched out for everyone to have a look at. Although Mark Zuckerberg does sort of fit the mold a bit, doesn't he? But as I said, Jules, sorry, I don't believe stuff until I actually see it, in the cold, hard light of day. Not a fan of the movie either. No, it had the potential to be great, D-Style. This is the JFK movie we're talking about. Fantastic premise and the way they started it. And they had a lot of good footage. I think they did it really well. Gary Oldman was great as Lee Harvey Oswald. But yeah, I just found myself drifting off. As soon as they started to get, the Joe Pesci character, and I'm just trying to think of who's the guy that played the bad guy with the curls. What was his name? Again, in Men in Black. It'll come to me as soon as I get off. But yeah, as soon as they started, and Kevin Bacon and all, once they started with what they were doing, I just drifted off a little bit, and it just got a little bit too deep for me. But anyway, what's that, Tara? You're talking to the wrong half of the Hosking household. Yeah, if you want to talk about all that stuff there, Jules, talk to Tara. She'll fill you in on and engage any conversation you want to have about UFOs, JFK, COVID, you name it. 9/11. Talk to her about it. Area 51. No, I haven't, D-Style. I haven't been there, but it's definitely on the bucket list. Definitely on the list, mate. And is that in Texas? No, it's Nevada, isn't it? Area 51. But no, apparently it is like a tourist destination. Everyone tracks there and they get turned away by security, whatever it is. One place we are maybe looking to go if we get time, D-Style, on the way is to go to Waco, Texas, where, of course, the tragedy happened all those years ago with the cult there. That is on the way from Dallas down to Houston, I think it is. So we might do a detour and go to where Waco occurred, which would be great. I just love ticking off all these things. The other thing I want to do is Billy the Kid, go to where he was killed and buried and all that sort of stuff. Love to go to Tombstone. I almost did that earlier in the year, but didn't get time. It was like 4 hours in the wrong direction when I went to see Liam Wilson fight in Arizona. I really wanted to see Tombstone. So there's a few different things there. But when it comes to American history, D-Style, I'm just all in, mate. And Area 51 is definitely on the map for sure. All right, a couple of more comments and we'll call it a night. Hang on. Why was Oswald in Mexico City a week prior? I don't know. D-Style. Talk to Tara. She'll engage. No problems. There you go, Shadow Boxer. Coming soon. Conspiracy deep dive with Lynden. Well, we could call it something like that. This is the thing. And Tara, I know you're watching there. I can see your comments there. I've been on her for a while to get her own show. And she can do this all she wants. But she's just having trouble that first step of taking the step off the cliff, as you do, off the first step, and just going out into the world and just pushing the live button and then just going and then just getting it on. That's just that first step. And I myself talked about having a YouTube channel for about 3 or 4 years before I actually did it. And I was like, all right, that's it. I'm just going to do it. And we had about 10 viewers for our first video. And you just got to do it. And you get better as you get on. I look back at some of the first videos I did, and I just cringed. They are pretty ordinary. But you get better as you get going. You get a bit more confident. So Tara, I reckon, she'd be good having her own deep dive there. So what's that, Peter? UFOs have been to Australia doing rock paintings. Until I see a UFO, Peter, I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe him until I physically see one. D-Style. All right, well, we're almost done. We're on to conspiracy theories here. Hang on, what's this? Taylor Swift in a thong, says Shyla Jamison. I don't know what that one is. Area 51 is in New Mexico. I thought it was Nevada. Oh, yeah, there you go. It was in Nevada, not New Mexico. Okay. A couple more comments. Carlo Carpetta. How are you, Carlo? Akhmedov and Duarte, absolute war of attrition. Akhmedov unlucky, true fighter. That was a great fight, Carlo. Duarte goes all right. I know they're talking about maybe Devin Haney for him next. So, yeah, I like him. Good fighter. There you go, Mark. Tommy Lee Jones. I don't know why I had Jamie Lee Curtis going around in my head, and I couldn't get her out of my head to focus on that. So it's Tommy Lee Jones. Yep. Kevin Costner was the lead role in that for sure. All right, Larry, conspiracies have become a part of somewhat mainstream culture, kind of serving their purpose now as a form of entertainment. I think the truth is less dramatic in reality. Some truths remain hidden, though, yeah. Yep, it's good to entertain them, Larry, but we won't get into a lot of the stuff. The 9/11 one, I'm a little bit here, well, neither here nor there on that one. I'm a little bit in, a little bit out. I've been to all the 9/11 sites and listened to everything. I don't know really what to make of that. That's for another episode for sure, so... All right, yeah, there you go. Tara, you've got your first viewer there, live on Monday night, 7 o'clock, discussing conspiracies. Oh, who said before about Conspiracy Deep Dive? I love it. It's a great name. Love it. There you go, Tara. There you go. Tara will support you. Yep. You will see a bit of Tara on the holiday videos. She's got no choice. I'm going to get her. We might get to introduce her to the YouTube community is what I was trying to spit out. What's that? New Mexico has Carlsbad Caverns that you die. What's that? That you need to see, especially morning when all the bats fly inside the cave. Amazing place. Okay. Yeah. Or any other place you reckon, D-Style? Let me know. What's that, Mark? Speaking of conspiracy theories, Antarctica and the treaty is sus. I know nothing about that. And that is about it. Peter, thank you very much, mate. Have a great week. Great content. Thank you very much, mate. So again, just to go over everything, this will be the last Talking Boxing for about 3 weeks, at least 2, if not 3 weeks. Back, I think, on the 6th of December. So whatever the Monday is after that. But as I said earlier, I will be doing daily vlogs every day of all our adventures. So if you want to check it out, they'll be on. I can't remember what time. It's normally in the evening sometimes when they eventually get uploaded. So keep a lookout for that if you want to keep track of our holidays. Again, it's not boxing related, so please keep that in mind. But I will be doing my best to keep you updated over there. Walking Boxing will not be on tomorrow. I'm on the road early, but I will do one video before we go on Wednesday morning. And that'll be it for a couple of weeks for that as well. So, and then we're into some fight week videos, and then next year, and we're into a lot of other content as well. So guys, hope you have a great week. Thanks very much for tuning in. I can't wait to touch base when I'm back, and we'll see you then.